But we will probably not take too long, even though we are going to discuss the spell traps for this archetype. But I'm okay with that because I think I know what my deck is this week, and I need to test it.
I
And
would
also
like
probably
to
do some
test
trades
it.
and stuff.
Speaking
Oh
of-
wow, I've
So,
never noticed that with. I never noticed that Cook Crown. It's literally he's becoming the archangel.
I mean, no, I think Zakiel's telling him to shoot himself in the head.
Oh, is Max the? Okay, Max.
Yeah, because he's the star character, so the 6th bullet is for you or whatever. Anyway, I'm not joking, by the way. Hey, hi, welcome to Fail Portrayal. Are you ready to learn about stuff? The music you can probably hear in the background. I have a loop of the overture from Ferichutz. Because it's what we're about. It's weird. Here, I'm trying to tweet this, but
honestly, not one of my favorite operas.
I've never actually heard the operatic performance, but I'm familiar with the plot because it's very common.
It's very...
Is it a plot you could tell in an hour, or is it like an hour play?
I mean, I'm going to be very real. I don't think any person that watches opera will ever judge opera by the plot.
No.
That's not what you do. Like,
first of all, how many people who are opera fans can really follow opera? Because a lot of the classical operas are, at least of our audience anyway.
I watch opera and I fucking don't know what the fuck they're saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. Like, obviously, you know, we're talking to our audience. Most of it is English speaking. I know there are some of you who may have it as like a second language, but we have the YouTube analytics, y'all. Most of you probably do not speak German or Italian or French, the classic operatic languages.
No.
Especially, it will probably not be your native language, so how the hell can you tell what they're saying when they're singing it?
Oh, and
you can't understand lyrics in English.
And if you look it up, like 90% of opera plots are fucking silly.
Yeah,
like they're really silly. Like, oh, what is that really famous one? It's
there it is.
The Haschen and the Schwersen. It's regardless. There's an entire opera that's one of the most famous operas in the world. That's all about like people arguing over who their son and daughter should marry.
Yeah,
and I think one of them's like a fairy queen or something.
It's a how would you say? It's a operas are no. I didn't want a why Wikipedia. What the fuck? You have a hyperlink on opera, which doesn't link to opera the art. It links specifically to the operas composed by Carl Maria von Weber, who composed Ferichutz. But you've also got a hyperlink with his fucking name in the same line. What the fuck? Hopefully we've had enough moments that I can cuss like this, because Jesus Christ.
You have.
This sucks. This is weird and dumb. Anyway, I am not going to fight Wikipedia for a definition of opera, but operatic performances have a lot of, you know, elements to them. It is usually song, but there's also a lot of props. Ferichutz, which translates to the free shooter or the marksman, is actually a very seminal German work. It's considered the first German romantic opera. But it also does include spoken dialogue, so there's singing and then there's also just a plotting. But the rough version of the plot is, it's in 3 acts, by the way, to let you know how big this is. It takes place in Bohemia shortly after the 30 Years' War, and our main character, Max, is defeated at a shooting game by, I don't know, some fuckboy. And he wants to marry a chick, but he's got to be cool, and he wasn't cool, so he needs to get better. And then the devil is like, yo, dog, you want some magic bullets? And he's like, sure I do. And then it's like, no, shit.
Shit, I should have read that there was a price to this deal. Fuck yes.
Hey, Moriarty.
Specifically, there are, I believe it's 6 magic bullets cast in silver. But no, 7. Because the 6 will always hit where you want. The 7th hits where the devil wants, and that's bad for you. It's very classic in that regard. Here, let me see if I can put it.
A lot of references to that actually in some very unusual places.
Let me see if I can make this. Hold on. We're gonna do some finagling, chat. I banish you to the costume department.
No.
There's a lot of shit there. Fuck.
All right, there you go. Enjoy, chat. That's you. You're in the window now. You're in the zone. But so this is important because Magical Musket is all about that. Like, all the names of a lot of the characters and a lot of the effects are directly drawn from the concept of the free shooter or the name of classic Wild West personages.
Yeah, I mean, I think they are all technically a reference to a Wild West person, aren't they?
No, Max and Caspar are straight up characters
Oh,
from the
okay.
free shooter. But
Was
other
Casper the guy
characters
you
like
lost to?
no, I don't think though. I think that's his buddy.
No,
the guy he
Caspar's
lost to
just
is
another guy.
Killian.
Oh, just right. I got killed. Okay.
But the character names of Calamity, Doc, Kid Brave, Wild are all there.
Yeah.
So is Starfire, but I don't remember Bellstar.
Honestly,
at all.
I've always kind of taken Magical Musket as just like it's a weird opera being done by a Wild West troupe.
I mean that makes sense. There were shows in Buffalo Bills shows. How about Hitchcock stuff? There's a lot of performance art in here.
Also, because Yu-Gi-Oh likes doing a thing where they overlap two different concepts together to make a thing
Well,
like
yes.
how Cosmo works.
interesting.
So
But also in this case, holy shit, Dallas.
What?
Could you type louder?
Oh, I didn't know
this is
that.
how we always sound.
I couldn't even hear it.
We can always hear
It seems very pointed tonight.
We-
Magical Musket is also an overlap though because Ferichutz is referenced several times in FGO, and demon guns is very common in anime, and also they love cowboys, much like cowboys love samurai. It's a big cyclical weird culture thing.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of overlap there. This debuted in a deck build pack, so it was supposed to kind of be out of the box, though it wasn't perfect. In Japan, by the way, the name of this archetype is Madan, Magibullet. Magical Musket flows a little better in English, but it's the same zone.
I feel like if they weren't aiming, honestly, I also feel like they could have, if they weren't avoid of calling things called demon, I also think they could have called it Demon Bullet.
Well,
No, Magical Musket still sounds better.
yeah, in English, Demon Bullet is way clunkier. Those words don't flow together.
Fair enough. All right,
Yeah,
I guess
Magical Musket gets your alliteration in.
Mhm. It also lets
yeah.
you do a very clever thing because the monsters are called Magical Musketeer and the spells are Magical Musket, but the way that works in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is all of that is Magical Musket, which is what we're calling the archetype for
True,
this.
yeah, which lets you search it. Yeah,
And I, again, to reiterate, because it's been a few minutes, I literally have the overture on loop under this, so enjoy culture, y'all.
I mean, I'll be honest, I'm listening to just the Magic Flute. 'Cause that's my go-to.
That works as well. Okay. But we're here, and let's start doing some stuff. Like I said, we're going to do spell traps as well, because this archetype does not exist without them. And that will extend our time somewhat, though, like I said this before, I'm okay with getting out of here a little early, because, one, this was our Patreon poll winner, by the way. Sorry it's delayed a little bit, but I had to, do some time off for stuff. But this means that I will probably be yelling at these guys right after this to post a new poll. So, support us at the 5 and up level. You can vote on the Failed Portrayal polls to get your selection picked.
I need to find new fairy bait.
I mean, you could just pick for hire again. I don't know. You don't got to do something different every time.
we didn't do those guys yet. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but the poll... Never mind. Don't trust Axe to remember what order what things happen in.
Yeah.
Okay, but... we'll
I have a long
bamboozle
trigger.
everybody and go through. And that's a
was
good
that?
thing you can do. I don't know. Anyway, hold on. I have to mute the server for a couple of hours. Because it's prime time for people to be yelling about art and stuff.
I know, right?
Yeah, right?
Okay, I'll stop. I haven't posted anything, but I won't.
Loth, well known for appears in progression or our secret tabletop cabal to like drop a meme, then post like 6 images in art dump,
So, Omega,
distracting me in the middle of the comment. What's up?
I thought we were gonna save Max for last, actually. since,
No,
like, he came out last.
I
No,
think we have to
what?
start with Max because
He is
as
the
you
main
have established,
He
he is
out
both the
for
main
another year
character
till
of the
after cards
opera,
came out.
and yes, he doesn't come out till later. But without him, your deck isn't very goo. You don't go very far.
I'm.
The
I'll
weirdest
argue
thing is,
that.
I feel like they
I'll
designed it
argue-
because they noticed the deck wasn't good.
Here's the thing. I'll argue that. I think. I don't want to be too mean to Axe. I don't think Axe was building necessarily properly.
Pure
play
magical
Hearthstone.
muskets is not good without Max. If you want to do some other bullshit, that's fine.
You want to
But
play Hearthstone? it's
just
decent.
because you
No, I
can,
wasn't playing Hearthstone.
just because you can jam barrier statues into things or whatever, it doesn't
not
mean.
playing barrier statues.
I know, but I'm talking hypothetically. For instance, Flunder. Hey guys, Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds isn't a Flunder card. It's been out for like 15 years. Don't be mad at Flunder. Ask
Yeah.
Konami why they haven't banned barrier statues yet. They're stupid, and I hate them.
I mean, I'm more mad at Flunder because you can't get rid of them.
You
I mean, you
just- I mean,
can't.
you just
You
send them to the
can.
grave.
You need to do it. No. When this
No.
face-up card would be sent to graveyard, banish it instead.
Oh.
The thing is, it has to be face-up on the field. What they're
Yeah.
very vulnerable to is any form of hand
Summon
ripping,
negate.
returning to graveyard. Summon negates also nuke them
Yeah.
very hard.
Or like Book of Eclipse.
Imperial Iron Wall sounds like it shuts them off.
Yeah, when they can't be banished, that shuts them off. Lancia also, I believe, would work. There's numerous ways to deal with them. It's just that in Master Duel, it's best of one, so you can't. Because Master
Yeah,
Duel
no.
is still done.
Flunder is one of those decks similar to Eldritch that is really bad in a match format because you can just side deck them to death. Like you can literally kill the deck with your side deck. But if it's a best of one, then they get away with scot-free.
Yeah, so Flunder is another deck that explodes if you play Nib or Summon Limit
Yeah.
or stuff like that because your entire combo is, hey, so normal summons? I'm going to do about 6 of those.
Yeah.
And if your opponent
any kind
lets
of
you do that.
searcher- or any kind of search stop, rather.
Yeah, they're shockingly somehow I didn't run into a lot of people playing Ash in the No EX festival, but
I
hand
don't know
traps,
why.
hand traps, imperm as well.
Like,
Oh,
I
Imperm, your-
actually,
your
because
normal.
of Flunder, honestly, and because of a couple other decks that were dominant, I stopped playing Maxi in my main deck in the EX Festival, but I always played Ash.
Yeah, I did run into some people playing the Maxi, and it was hilarious when they would just shotgun the Maxi, and I was like, cool story, bro.
Yeah, no.
Normal
When
stuff.
Flunder is the top, or
I've
is
got this
a
one.
top deck in your format, suddenly Maxi is a lot less good.
Yeah, it's weird. Unfortunately, we're about to get a lot of special summoning, so nobody talk about bringing Maxi back. But it's
No.
funny in Master Duel, especially like we said in Best of One formats. Anyway,
Well-
this is Magical Musketeer Max. I brought him up first because he both is, as I said, the signature character of the original free shooter opera, but also is one of those like weird centerpiece cards that doesn't come out until several formats later.
He also
like-
only because of that he only has one other card he's in, while all the others at least have like 2 to 3 cards they are in.
Oh yeah, they have. In general, they haven't actually printed a lot of Magical Musketeer support since they dropped the whole archetype. I'm not
I'm gonna be
entirely sure
honest.
why.
I feel like they can make more.
I'm not a huge fan of this for a very specific reason.
What's up?
Omega, you've played Dragon Age 2, right?
Yes. What do you think?
This is just Fenris. This is just Fenris with
You
a
know,
gun.
Now that
I don't know
I
who
see,
that
I
is.
never looked at his face up close, but you're right. I mean, Fenris is pale, Max is
It's
ash
really,
skinned,
yeah, it's
But-
really onyx skinned.
but
but
he
still,
is
but
he
he's
is kind of an edgy elf boy. I mean, I know he's a demon,
he's-
but
Edgy
I
elf
was
white
gonna-
hair boy.
I was gonna say the bit of like opening line of being like Dallas is probably not gonna like this or hate this design. And it's like I really like the design, but that's mostly because it
What
reminds
are
me
you
of
talking
like
about? Dallas loves Fenris, so of course he'd like this guy.
Ah,
That's him.
I have a complicated relationship.
I'll be real. This reminds me of Devil May
I hate
Cry
Fox
or the like DMC style Dante's Inferno game. like, the
I
aesthetic?
mean, yes, this
No,
would.
this is not. I'll be honest. This is not nearly gruesome enough to be the Dante's Inferno style of art.
I will say, this is not exactly the same, but a lot of this artwork does feel in the ballpark of
Yeah,
like
no.
DMC series or
I definitely can see the
other
DMC
similar.
part.
In
Like,
a way, you
it's
can
not.
see
There's
how-
not quite enough 6-foot tall ladies, fighting
Yeah.
people with their hair for it to be Bayonetta. But this absolutely makes me like talk about games that Konami could branch out into. You could make a magical musket like hack and slash, shooter action game.
It could be like Dirt to Cerberus,
Yeah.
but good.
You can see this guy, and from the name and theme alone, like, yes, this is a guy with a musket who's made a deal with the devil.
Yes, he has
no.
a
It's the-
bright red
the
scarf that
Most
is kind of
simplest
like
way to put it.
got like a demon membrane. He's
Or
got
a
demonic
really
arm.
weird drow D&D character.
I image the thing of like mechanically it'd be you have 5 shots and then the 6th shot always takes damage to your health, so you have to use your melee arm to like take demon souls to make more bullets.
That'd be funny. Anyway,
I don't know.
we'll work on that later. We'll workshop that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, the important thing to note design-wise is that magical musketeers are somewhat unique. They are light fiends.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think they
that's
only
not-
share that with 2 other archetypes.
Yeah, that's not a
Yeah,
pairing
light
you
fiend
see
is not
often.
very very popular.
Yeah.
Well, it is the second most popular fiend attribute.
Can I find the light fiend overlap?
There's no many fiends.
Well, no, it's
Uh,
just like 90 billion of them are dark.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's a shitload of
wanna
dark
say-
fiends.
I want to say like Light Fiend.
Light
what was
fiend and
the-
dark angel tend to be dark fairy, I should say, in English, tend to be the weird ones.
I
No,
like dark fairies.
Fabled is one of the other big
Yes.
light
Fabled,
fiends.
thank you. I was gonna say
Fabled, though they are weird because they have that whole subset of the fabled beasts who are.
Although no, Omega, remember, that's the Fabled.
I know, but fabled searching for fabled still works for the fabled. It's one of those weird
Eh.
super trope things.
And then there's like one
Yep.
water fiend archetype, and that's like, I think the rest are all,
There are some fire fiends. I think
Ooh.
there's got to be a fire fiend.
no, there's no fire fiend archetype.
Oh yeah, the
Uh,
water
I
fiend
could've
is
sworn there
Thunder
was.
Patrol.
No.
Infernoid? No, those are.
No, they're dark.
Oh, they're dark.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure the Infernoids are dark.
I mean, I'm gonna check it right now. Fire fiend monsters.
Oh, okay. Okay,
There
there's
we go.
one
There is
then.
one. Yeah, I'm gonna say. I'm
But
pretty
that's
sure
the
there's
only
fire
one I
fiend
can
monster.
think of.
Yeah. So the games don't always get creative, but sometimes they do. Fabled is another good light fiend example, and for the counterpart, Dark Lords are dark fairies
Yeah.
for the most part.
You could also make an argument, even though it's only half. Evil Twin is half a dark fiend archetype.
It's true. They're weird because they're light and dark, but the two different ones are different attributes. They're a weird, funny deck.
I
they're like a
forgot the
baby
best
cake.
light fiend monster is fucking Santa Claus.
Yes, Santa Claus is a light fiend. It's hilarious. Kaiju's before Kaiju's, y'all. What we would do to Kaiju. Anyway,
Yeah.
I don't think there's a lot to say otherwise artistically about Max currently.
No, he just looks like a DMC character.
He was designed later, so very obviously he conforms to the tropes that they set out for this. But yes, this is an anime shooting man.
I really
Yeah.
like the weird flesh scarf.
The specific archetype look of the red scarf of like the demon wing, that's pretty rad. And I like this bright red. You'll have noticed every time Axe has played Magical Muskets, I think I've worked that red into the like title text on the decks. Yes, by the way, if you've never looked closely, yes, I do uniquely pick the colors for the names and deck titles
I'll
for
say
every one of
this.
those lists.
I only have one other problem with the art.
Mhm.
His gun is way too non-prominent in the art.
Yeah, I think that's more just because it's a.
I think they wanted
It
to show
actually
you the
like bothers
arm.
me.
It is unusual considering Magical Musket that this guy, like, his actual Magical Musket isn't shown very well.
Also,
Like, I don't like
I've
the
noticed this a lot
pose.
with like a lot of Japanese works is that the gun is always very stick-like or it's only a revolver. They're never good at drawing any
showing
other
you
kind of
his
gun.
I mean, it's a
quote-unquote good
musket, so...
side.
Well,
I
it
mean,
should be stick-like, but I mean, if you're the boss monster of an archetype whose name is literally gun, that is half your name is
That
gun.
is fair. It should be
mean, you
prominent.
You
Look
should be
at-
firing the gun.
I
You
will
look at
say, when we
collab-
get back to the spell traps at the bottom half of this, you'll tend to see that those do usually have more actiony poses, like they rely on the actual
Yeah.
gunplay.
I'll say this.
I
I
think
think
that-
he's
and-
actually.
Good.
This is going to be a weird weird take maybe, but I think he's actually probably one of my least just remembering off the top of my head, I think he's one of my least favorite arts for the archetype.
He's
Yeah,
definitely
like,
kind of neutral. Like, I'll say this: card design-wise, you're gonna read him and you're gonna immediately see, oh, this is a Band-Aid card. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't
he's-
know if they intended him
starter.
originally,
Like,
but
I
he is.
understand.
He's
Yeah.
a starter for the deck.
I
He's
understand
the
Dallas's
shit. We
concern
realized
with
the
the
deck needs
gun.
to start.
Because, well, like, we'll get to them, but a lot of the other magical musketeers, like the normal monsters, well, not normal monsters, but just
Main
the
deck
main deck
monsters,
monsters, have a lot of good-looking, like, weird musket-looking shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am disappointed by his
So
very
And it-
boring gun.
This
it also
boy-
In a
looks like
way-
it also looks like he's walking away from an explosion, though. So
I like the background a lot.
the
Actually.
background
In a
is
way-
is well drawn, but it's very weird. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Leth.
Dallas, in a way, isn't it better where everyone else has these cool guns and the big quote-unquote Band-Aid boss monster has just a simple musket that he can do?
I mean, it's very.
Well, I mean, I'll
it's
say
very
this:
musket.
Dallas
Kinda-
called him the boss,
kinda.
but he really is the starter because you don't necessarily
The
win
boss
the
of the deck
game
you
off
actually
the.
can play.
He's not necessarily the monster you win the back off of outright. He gets your deck started very strongly. So let's read what he does. Magical Musketeer Max is a light fiend. He is a Link 1. This is their only extra deck monster to date, by the way. So he's got 1,000 attack. He's a Link 1. He requires 1 level 8 or lower magical musket monster. So luckily he's not a generic Link 1. But your entire archetype in your main deck is currently level 8 or lower. So it's... I don't know why they specified that. I guess because they want to make sure you can't self-link him. You can't max into max for more stuff.
They could
I
just
think
say
it's
one
better.
level.
I mean,
they could
does
they could
he-
just say
if he-
one like level 1 or higher. Magical Musketeer.
I think they want to say level 8 or lower because they probably want to talk about Zekiel as like a joke. But yeah,
If you don't mind me asking, is Max basically just quote-unquote what happens to Caspar near the end of the series?
No,
no,
because
I
Max
don't
is
think
trap
so.
Seal.
cards
Caspar is his
almost make
friend.
me- Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
How I always took it is that thematically his effect is like he makes the deal, which is how your deck starts.
yeah. He makes the deal for the demon bullets because it makes sense. Because if this card is Link Summon, you can activate one of these effects. Either add magical musket spell traps with different names from your deck to your hand up to the number of monsters your opponent controls, or special summon magical musket monsters with different names from your deck up to the number of spell traps your opponent controls. So this is a starter. This is a hard-going second card.
The deck is a hard going. It's a
Yeah,
hard
it's-
going first going second deck.
But this
How it works.
this really spins you up because if your opponent is playing a back row deck, you generate a lot of monsters which do their own thing and have effects which proc when spells are activated in their columns. If your opponent has a lot of monsters, you can search a lot of spell traps, which is your removal and control aspect. You only you can only use this effect, once per turn. During either player's turn, you can activate magical musket spell traps from your hand, which is another magical musket thing.
I may be really weird about it, but I feel like certain decks have an actual feel when you play them. Like, I always felt Magical Musket when you play them. Once you get going, it feels like all the cards in your hand are basically bullets to what you're shooting because you just play them, you go, play, go, keep recycle.
I mean, I think that is deliberate. Magical Musket does have a fairly unique way of playing. As I've described, their main deck monsters we're about to see, they generally have an effect which procs when is it just spells or is it spell traps are activated in their column?
Spell
It is spell traps,
And a
it
back
is-
row card.
So
and
when a
it
spell
is
trap
not-
is activated in their column,
Yeah. And
by
it
the
isn't
way.
just theirs.
yeah. Oh yeah, some of them they might say in a column with a magical musket monster. We'll get into the details. I don't always remember the fine print. But they have effects based on activating spell traps, and I believe several of them, I don't think it's all of them, say you can activate spell traps from hand.
Okay, I'm gonna go mute up.
Nope,
It's
that's
in the
done.
spell traps where it says if you have a Magical Musket on board, you can activate it
Ah.
from hand.
Okay. All right. We'll get into the specifics of how this all clicks together shortly, because like I said, Max came a little later. The main thing is that Max is just as Axe said, he is your starter, because when you link summon the Max, you're like, okay, all right,
Ezekiel, give me the bullets.
yeah. If your opponent has monsters, if your opponent is playing like an Eldritch turn and they set 5, you're like, all right, I'm gonna try and summon a bunch of monsters.
And then you'll trigger my effects for me.
Yeah, basically. because it's pretty spiced. But yeah, so there are certainly decks that have a lot of unique feel. I'm a big fan of those, so long as that the way that they play doesn't get too fucky. Like certain builds of Sky Striker, for instance, I have found a lot of Sky Striker decks to be like really insufferable. Even though I kind of like how some of the cards work. But the idea of playing a deck that is like 2 main deck monsters is really weird. A lot of the problems with these decks arise from what you can do when you do those unique plays. For instance, playing a Sekka's Light deck, that's cool and interesting, except that my personal experience with people in our format playing Sekka's Light's deck is they use that as an excuse to, instead of playing 10 spell traps, they play 10 hand traps and then the rest of their deck. Which is annoying. It's hard to play against. But conceptually, these are interesting. A very modern example, which is about to come out soon, is Eldritch is a little older. I think certainly Eldritch has a lot of flexibility. I mean, you only got 1 main deck monster, so it's kind of like that. Eldritch like Sky Striker. Fun fact, you can play Striker Lich as well, but Eldritch is like Striker in that you got a lot of weird combos with it. I was thinking of Runic as a very recent example. It's about to come out. That's a deck that has no main deck monsters. It is.
I hate that. Oh my god, I hate
literally
that deck
a mill
so
deck.
much.
You play.
Really?
It's
That's
you yourself playing.
So, Dallas, would you be surprised to know that the general opinion of people is that Runic is bad?
Yes, but the ways I've seen it crafted, there's only 2 ways I've seen it crafted. Not very good, in which case I'm mostly fine with it, or insufferable stun.
I can see that. That is, unfortunately, as we discussed with several of those other archetypes, that is unfortunately what tends to happen with unique playing decks that play uniquely is usually, because they play uniquely, they're not necessarily good against whatever is meta, and so the players tend to turn to hard stun cards to basically tell your opponent, hey, you, stop it. I'm going to do what I want to do. You, stop. Stop that.
Unfortunately, the way that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is designed prohibits unique gameplay in a way.
In some
sense. They have found a couple of formulas that generally work, i.e. spamming the board, using the graveyard as a second hand, or locking down, generally.
Or even I guess Flunder, where it's about consecutive normal summons and
avoiding
the graveyard.
Yeah, that's a combo summon. You summon a lot of monsters. They just do it in a unique way.
That's fair. I just said it's unique.
I mean, I think Flunder is what we would call a unique deck because it interacts with the game in an interesting way. For instance, and I'm very glad that in the TCG, Vanity's Emptiness is banned, and it should be banned in Master Duel, especially now that Flunder is out. But in Flunder, you can play Vanity's Emptiness because you never send to graveyard and you never special summon. Playing Vanity's Emptiness literally doesn't impede you because your deck is about consecutive normal summons. And I think that's really interesting, and I like a lot of the, playing Flunder is very rewarding because you do actually get to do this whole combo thing in a sort of linear fashion, and then you get to slap down a big boy at the end. And I actually like playing Snowl, even though people are like, he's bad. I'm like, yeah, but I don't. My goal is not to make my opponent have to quit the game. My plan is to just win the game like a normal person.
Unfortunately, Yu-Gi-Oh! Literally doesn't facilitate that gameplay anymore.
Yeah.
I have a problem with modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Design. Can you tell?
Yeah. I mean, I still think there's some interesting decks out there, but it's definitely there's some weird trends that arise from the way players play the game versus how game designers design the game, and sometimes it feels like Konami forgets how people play this game.
Well, once again, and I don't want to get on this for too long, but the biggest problem to me is always going to be there is no way to power the game down functionally. The way to power the game down is limited. Extremely.
I want to talk about Caspa for a bit because it's
well, yeah, as I said, he's on screen. We're going.
I never saw this card up so much. I don't think I like it actually, because it's okay, I have 3 things to go out. Actually, 4. First thing, the eye on the weird demon flesh scarf thing. It's I think it's not shown well enough to portray it right. It feels like it was added in a bit later.
I didn't even know if that's an eye.
I don't even know, but it's just like
He's
I
got the
don't know
wing
what it. And then he has an actual cloak, and then I don't really care for like the weird like ancient like demon society like steampunk kind of like plating he's got. Also, he's got like thigh-high boots and like he's got a devil arm because I guess the gun's corrupting him.
Yes.
Because, hey, but the gun. Tell me this gun doesn't look like the Emperor and how it just looks like a fucking like Frankenstein gun.
No, it just looks like
Right.
a gun from 40K.
Actually,
Like,
made a
it looks like
reference
a
I didn't
bolt-
get at all.
It looks like a bolt-
Part 3, the Emperor.
Oh, that context. You need to,
Uh,
as a
Sorry.
guy who actually does tarot readings, you need to specify.
Sorry,
No,
okay.
this
I
just
bet
looks
it's in,
like
like
a
the Emperor's dead, where it's like it looks like a
this
weird
is a little.
Frankenstein
This
gun.
is a little. Dallas is right.
No,
This is a Damon
This
bound
is a
weapon.
bolt gun.
This is an evil
a
bolter.
bolter
Yeah.
pistol.
Because
Yeah,
it's like
it's
And
a
actually,
chaos
with that
bolter.
aperture, I would say it looks a little bit more like a plasma gun. But yeah, it's a weird evil 40K gun.
because it's got like a weird. It reminds me of like the back of the gun reminds me of like the Fallout New Vegas.
You
like,
realize
9
that the
millimeter
Emperor was a
machine
revolver,
pistol.
though, right?
Yes, but it had the barrel was like below the gun, not attached to the barrel.
This isn't the same thing.
No,
Because
this
it's
is
like,
a
it has like
a
weird
weird energy
cylinder
gun.
that's not part of the barrel, and then I don't know, just
I agree with you. I don't like this art for a very different reason.
No, this
His
is Casper's
face?
only art.
Yeah, no, he has the dumbest face. This
Honestly,
is-
I don't know what you guys are so up about. I think this art is perfectly neutral.
The way it's angled, it seems like he has the biggest forehead.
I
He
guess
has
for me,
nice-
well, he
is
does
that-
kind of have a big forehead. He's wearing one of those stupid, huge anime scarf things on his forehead.
So I'm going to explain it. I'm not angry at it. I'm just disappointed because I've played this card
Well,
enough times where it's like I've never noticed it. It's just not that
I'm
great.
not- I didn't say you were angry, but I have no. I feel no emotions about these nitpicks you have.
Also, looking at the cape
but-
up close, what the fuck is this stupid fucking cape?
Well, which cape?
I don't
I will
know.
say. I mean, I'm gonna
The,
say
the
this.
one that Caspar and
Oh,
Matt
the
share.
demon. Well, it's a wing. It's a weird demon's wing. Now,
It
why the
looks
fuck is
really
Caspar
dumb.
wearing it around his waist as like a waist cloak? That I don't know. I'll say this. While I do not feel strongly emotionally about it, logically, I have some questions about Caspar's fashion choice.
Same here.
Why the high heels?
These
He's
are riding
really-
boots, so why are they thigh high?
no. Clearly, this is just a Vincent Kinney.
True. I mean, he's just cosplaying.
He
It's
does-
got
he's
some big
literally
Vincent
just-
Oh
energy.
my god, he does look
He
like
does have some very
Valentine.
big Vincent energy. He's just blonde Vincent.
I think that's what they were going
Actually,
for.
I'm
'cause
I'm pretty sure this weird eyeball gun is one of Vincent's weapons. You got some weird shit in the original
Do
7.
you think he was the first one they made? Because he does literally just like Vincent. He does.
Possibly. I mean, Caspar is also an actual character in the Free Shooter, so
Yeah.
possibly. I mean, I'll say I think there are some good aspects. I think the like gross transition of demon hand to hand, like, and how it's like the fleshy bits are going through his sleeve almost. It looks like that's kind of cool. But I mean, I gotta be honest. I think the artist knew what he was doing. Look at this. Look at this face. Look at this sleepy demon face on the end of his gun. It's a little
I
derpy.
just don't get the gun. Like it feels like it didn't
Well, it's
have the
demonic.
bottom battery at the bottom, but then it added it later.
See, my problem is not the gun. My problem is the guy. He just looks like every '90s anime character.
I think it's because they all expected to be
in a
down res,
generic
but yeah.
way.
I mean, I kind of think that's what they're going for. Like, I do think Caspar overall looks fairly generic and so on because I think he's supposed to tone set. Like, he's just, hey, we're making this archetype. What's it about?
Cursed guns.
Demon gun guys. So we'll do gunslinger vibes. He has a coat. He has a long red coat. There's some weird association with guys who use guns and that in Japan. I don't know why.
Oh, it's probably because it's also partially a Vash the Stampede reference.
Yeah, I was like Trigun. That's why.
Yes, but also actually, does Vincent have a red cloak because of Trigun, or do we just like red cloaks? I don't
I'm
know.
100% sure he does because of Trigun.
I have to go check the timing, but it's probably around the same.
Trigun
time.
Well,
was
probably because
huge.
Trigun is fairly old, isn't it?
Let me check. I read Trigun recently.
Yeah,
Let's see.
no, the
It
manga's-
was originally
Yeah.
98, actually.
Not the anime, the manga.
No, the
Right.
manga.
Let's go find that again because let's go check the time for that.
Because Final Fantasy VII was 97.
It was 95 actually, and the original run ended in 97, and then they kept going to 2007.
Okay,
No,
yeah.
Trigun
So
was huge.
So the first like running before we had to get a new
So-
publisher.
it might have just been that was the 90s in Japan, but also, yeah, there's clearly some sub-theme elements
Which
going on.
I don't
here.
disagree because I love Dragon, but
But yeah,
That's
it's
just
definitely
okay.
the direction we're going in. And I think, honestly, like, some of the extra details, like, he's got, you know, the weird steampunk fashion straps. Personally, as an actual gun nerd, I don't give a shit about this gun. He's got a weird demon
Yeah, the
gun.
gun's fine.
It's not real.
I just
Like-
look how it works.
okay, I have
You
one other
pull
problem
you
with
pull the
art.
trigger, purple demon blasts come out. It's a shmup.
Fair enough.
I don't like the way his shoulder pad looks.
The
I don't like
shoulder
how his
pad
boots look.
is a little bulgy. Like I said, I think Kaspar has made some fashion choices that are wrong, but who hasn't? Let's
So
be
it's like-
real.
I'll be real. If you took out the weird, like, extra fancy, like, bronze plating, it'd look a lot better.
Yeah, they may have the artists may have over embellished. They were very eager, but let's actually talk about what Kaspar does now. He is a light
important,
fiend,
actually.
level 3, 1200 attack, 2k defense. During either player's turn, you can activate magical musket spell trap cards from your hand. If a spell trap is activated in this card's column, except during the damage step, add a magical musket card from your deck to your hand, but not a card with the same name as the activated card. You can only use this effect of Kaspar once per turn. So Kaspar lets you fire bullets, and also
Bullet
when a
back.
spell trap is resolved in your column, search.
Anyway, I apologize for being silent. I had to quickly go and make something, and also, yeah, just gotta wait for it to load.
Also, there's a guy thumping outside your house.
Yes, well, someone's doing housework next door.
YouTube, why are you being so feisty with me lately? Now it says good connection. I'm not dropping frames. OBS is fine. Don't be feisty
Also,
with me, YouTube.
Loft, you didn't get off. I think you missed the point.
No, that's what you said, though.
I was
That's
more saying
what
is
you
like,
said.
I was trying to get more across the point of how, like, I don't get how the barrel and the cylinder are separate parts that don't feel like they
Also,
connect
the
at
Emperor
all.
looks like a perfectly normal gun.
Also, Axe, they're not, though. You notice how the slide is open at the bottom? The top cylinder lines up with the barrel.
Yeah, no.
I mean, maybe not exactly, but that's because
I mean,
anime
from that angle,
perspective.
yes, but from another angle, it doesn't.
Whatever Kaspar is going for is definitely much more of a sci-fi style gun than a
Yeah, I guess.
whatever.
It's probably like a battery, I
Fantasy
guess. but hey.
fantasy or
Actually,
Yeah.
question that I've got now, looking once again at
image
Casper's
tiny?
art. My image?
No, I'm like trying to Google a front shot of whole horse with the Emperor, but
Yeah.
they
But like, oh, sorry.
people at you guys get a load of this. Get a load of this tiny ass image.
You know what I
This
mean?
they
Like
have,
a cylinder
this they
looks
have
like it's
drawn in a
not
weird
connected to the
way
barrel.
so that the like the bullet pipes
No.
up into the barrel.
I don't actually see that.
It looks like if you push the bullet out, it would just hit like the whole thing holding the cylinder and not actually the barrel.
No.
No.
looks like
Also-
they don't know how to
But
design
also,
guns.
Axe, I have to remind you, this is a magic ghost gun. It's not real.
I know. I was more to make the point of being like it only works because it's a
No,
stance.
no, Omega. It makes
Wait,
much
wait,
more sense in that. It's a part of his soul that is formed because he was shot by an arrow created by Jesus Christ.
Wait,
It makes much more sense than that.
No,
No,
the Christ part's not that universe.
Dallas. The arrows were created from a meteor that fell in Greenland before
Yeah.
human history.
The
Right,
Christ
right,
is a
right.
separate timeline.
Wait, so everyone else around sees him shooting people with his invisible gun.
Yes.
yeah.
It's hilarious. They do actually reference that in the Crazy Diamond's Demonic Heartbreak. He actually like fires Emperor in front of a non-stand user, and it is in fact as goofy as you think, because you don't hear anything either. He just points his finger and stuff happens. It's incredibly
so
silly.
one
Sorry, I
other
just had-
thing-
I had to work the invisible gun joke in there.
Yeah,
What's up,
One
Bob?
thing I just realized looking at Caspar.
was over.
So he's holding the gun with his demon arm.
Yeah.
What the fuck is his other hand doing?
It's holding a magazine. I
Does it
think.
go
I
like a
don't know.
really
No,
long handle?
I think he is doing a two-handed brace position, but he really doesn't want to touch his gross demon hand. Like, given that
Yeah.
he's,
No, Omega. He's clearly just trying to flip you off.
I mean, possibly.
This is part
If
of
you
it,
want a
though.
realistic emphasis, he's holding his. You hold your right hand with your right wrist rather with your left hand. The other way around if you're left-handed
Like what
shooting.
he's
I
going
think it's
for.
But
thing of-
you'll notice that he's kind of limp wristing his gun. He has clearly just pulled the trigger and something unpleasant has happened. He does
I
not
think
like
it
how
literally
this gun
demoni-
works.
I think it demonizes the arm.
Yeah, I suspect, given the purple lightning and kind of the nonplussed reaction on his face, Kaspar is not really having a great time with whatever's going on here. He could be having a worse time, but yeah, he clearly has, like, just fired the gun and just been like, not a fan of that.
I'm wondering if like the idea of like magical musketeers instead of magic bullets, it was magic guns.
I mean, they are called.
There are 6 of them now.
Both, because the archetype in Japanese is called magic bullet, is the translation. So it is about bullets, but technically the TCG name is magical musket, so it could be both the weapons and the effect. And there's 7 main deck guys, and there's.
Well, you don't count the Archangel because he's separate from that.
No, the 7th bullet is the devil.
He's in the main deck. What the fuck do you mean?
The 7th. I mean, I know he's called Mastermind, but Axe, the 7th bullet is the devil's.
Oh, I thought there was only 6. Okay.
No, there's 7 bullets.
Okay, never mind then. Then I guess
because
it's
the last one's the devil's bullet. There are also now 7 spell traps. Now, Max fucks up the numbering because, like I said, you can clearly tell that he's a weird Band-Aid card they came up with later.
They did add a spell trap for him, but yeah.
Yes.
He'll fix the archetype, quote unquote.
I mean, he definitely gives you a really good starter going second. Like, he gives you something to do when you just have to normal summon a guy. You can normal summon a guy and go into him. So, let's pull up another one. I feel like this one will simultaneously be better and worse than Caspar. We're kind of going in level order. It's Magical Musketeer, Doc. He is a doctor.
Favorite, actually.
Honestly, I like this one kind of more.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. I think
one's
this
my
one's
favorite.
good because it's simple, right?
Aesthetically together.
Well, so this is the one where they started doing Wild West figures. And this one is probably the most accurate to the figure they're based off of. Because he's just a dude.
With like a fancy duster.
Well, no, it's a white
has
coat. It's a doctor.
Jacket.
Yeah, it's a white coat.
Which is literally just what Doc Holliday. Spoiler. That's who it's based off.
Yeah, it's Doc Holliday. It's Magical Musketeer Doc. It's not hard.
And he's got a
dude's
rifle for a
just a
shotgun.
dentist.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
he's got a weird zoom lens on his eye, but whatever.
The weirdest thing is that I've now noticed that the demon, the demon cloak is almost like hand shaped. I wonder if that's intentional.
Well, I think it's meant, especially if you look at Max, it's supposed to be wing-shaped because it's got, like, the wing membranes, but hands, wings, similar idea.
Yeah.
The grasp with the devil.
But, I
Quite
do kind of like the extra touch that the demon-y arm bits happen, like, over their clothes. Like, his sleeve is fusing with his hand.
Yeah, and it's like, what I'm noticing, it's because I think he's holding the trigger down, and it's obvious that the background looks like he just fired it. So
Yeah.
I guess
Now,
when you
I'll
fire
admit,
it demonizes you.
Doc, what the fuck? This isn't your CS:GO montage, buddy.
Yeah, why don't you have like a shotgun? Why don't you have like a double barrel shotgun?
Well, not that, but also just he's
Well, you should have a pistol.
He's hip firing a sniper rifle. Clearly after doing a 360 no scope. This is going on.
No,
his
he
pro comp
aims.
later.
There was
I think
very clear evidence that he aims.
I mean,
think he just put his
later
gun
he
down after
aims.
firing.
Right now, as Axe said, there is a bright light coming from and lightning coming from the end of
I
this
more
gun.
took it as that's after you fire it, like with Caspar, where it's like he already fired it. So I think it's just that's what happens after you fire it. There's just lingering lightning everywhere.
That's stupid, though.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
that
still
is kind of
radiating from the end of the
unsafe.
gun, so that's a little weird. But yeah, no. I think Doc has a good design because of its simplicity. As Dallas said,
Yeah.
he's just a guy. He's a doctor. He's got a weird, steampunk doctor's eyepiece thing, but compared to Caspar's like other fashion choices, no, it's fine.
And even Max's over-designed Devil May Cry theme.
He's still
Like-
got that weird red cloak with a blue circle on it.
Yeah, so you can tell he's part of the archetype. His gun is not as demon eyeball-y. Like, this one's just kind of hiding in there, like, as a little marker.
And it's always the same part of
Also,
that
I
cloak.
mean, okay, the artist, I think the artist didn't want to draw the bolt on this, but otherwise this looks like a pretty typical bolt-action rifle. You got a stock, you got a grip.
it's like a fancy but old kind of one.
Well, yeah, there's like a very...
Man,
both
nah,
put
this has a
together.
pistol grip. That's not actually that old-styled.
Yeah, I
the
was
scope is
gonna
very
say-
old-fashioned.
I kind of want to say PTRS.
It could be a little bit. Big anti-tank rifles are popular in Japan. I
Yeah.
also suspect that Axe earlier mentioned that he notices a lot of a lot of Japanese like anime artwork of guns tends to be simplistic or revolvers, it's because they have this thing about guns in their society.
I'm more
I
with that
suspect
it's like,
that the art references they have are very limited.
Oh yeah, I also was more thinking of like I'm used to a lot of like Japanese like future or like different country fiction usually has it besides revolvers. It's always like very stick-like rifles, which refers to like the rifles they had in their history.
Well, yeah, it's a cultural touchstone, and also revolvers are just cool. There's
That is a fact.
Hey, if we're gonna make JoJo references, listen, just because Mista has more bullets in a Beretta doesn't mean that it's not cooler when he loads.
Because he can use the stand to reload the bullets.
But yeah, no, there's definitely something much more tactilely interesting and visually interesting about the action of loading a revolver, setting the chamber, firing, unloading. Like, how many of you have played a Resident Evil game and you know, y'all remember Resident Evil 4? You do the fucking break action, dump the rounds over your shoulder. It's baller.
Yeah.
Magnums are always great.
animations.
And you know, going back a little bit too to you know some of the older revolvers, there was a lot of you know deliberate stuff you had to do. I mean, that's where the term "don't go off all half-cocked" comes from.
Yep, you got to fully cock. You
when
can
you have
fan the
your-
hammer in a single action revolver, which is, you know, you get to
Yeah.
do the cool thing. You can twirl revolvers because of the action and the hammers.
You can use them to fight off swarms of bees.
Like, I want to be annoyed about the non-historical accuracy,
No one get what I mean when I
but
say that.
I mean, these guys are magical. These guys
I
are
don't-
magical demon
I
guys,
don't
so it
know
doesn't
or
matter.
care.
Yeah.
You don't care
Yeah.
about that great moment in MSG3 or
I
MTS3.
didn't hear what you said.
You never cared about
MSG.
Okay. Sorry.
Salt 3.
MS.
Okay.
I don't even know what
Okay.
the fuck you're saying.
Okay. Stop.
Jesse,
Stop.
what the fuck are you talking about?
You guys never cared about any of the stuff that like Ocelot did. Like he literally used.
No,
he literally
Ocelot-
used
I literally referenced
swarms
trolling.
of
Ocelot is the lamest character in Metal Gear Solid.
You
I mean-
almost said it.
I mean, in 3, he's great. I feel.
No, 3, he's the lamest character.
I mean, in
Aaron-
3, he's deliberately kind of a dork, but he still does some
Well,
stuff.
I love it. I mean, I love how he literally used to fight swarms
Also,
of hornets.
you know.
It was funny.
Just Keaton spaced it.
Like,
I mean, that is funny, but that's not a cool thing. That's a goofy thing.
no.
Keep in mind that, like, Metal Gear Solid 3, I think
In the
Kojima
game-
was... I'm pretty sure Kojima was taking the piss a little bit, you know, with his bee-themed boss who shouts, "Tommy gun!" and the bees bring him a gun from nowhere.
No, they form into a gun.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
That's
it's
even
real.
sillier.
Like, so a little bit of the tangent because Metal Gear Solid 3 is in fact one of my favorite games of all time.
It's a really good.
I just don't. I don't like. Metal Gear Solid 3, less so than 2. It's not quite as bad as 2. Has a little bit of a tonal whiplash problem.
Well,
But
like I said,
because you get
I'm
bosses like the Tommy gun guy, but then you also have bosses like the boss and the end, who
Or,
are
like, very
extremely
legitimate-
serious bosses.
yeah.
Yeah. Or
I
like,
mean,
was
there's
it
still-
Mr. Payne and like the really old sniper dude. I forget his name.
That's the end. I mean,
Oh,
the
that's the
end
end.
can be silly, Dallas.
True, but
You can literally wait.
traditional-
You can
if
you can
do
stop
a
playing the game for a
traditional-
year and then come back.
Sorry. That is the end. Is my I could literally write a book.
I mean,
on,
I've never
I
choose
think
the
it's the
end
best
because I
design.
love having a sniper duel. But
No, the end is the best designed boss fight in the history of video games. In my opinion.
What about the what was the guy that was about like the afterlife?
the Sorrow.
The
That
Sorrow.
one, I mean,
Another
the
very
Sorrow is
serious
also
fight.
very serious, but also can be incredibly dumb depending on your actions.
It is very hilarious when you do a playthrough and you just walk up to the Sorrow and nothing happens.
Yeah, when I did my non-lethal run of Metal Gear Solid 3, it's just the bosses who you don't even kill, they kill themselves.
Or in my case, there was this one Mook who I stunned and then he fell off a cliff.
But at the same time, you also get like some really darkly humorous stuff. If you kill a guy,
Yeah,
let a
that's
vulture
true.
eat his corpse, and then kill that vulture, that guy being carried by vultures will attack you in the river, saying, "You ate me! You ate me!" Like shit like that can happen, which is like goofy, but also like, holy shit, you ate that dude's snake. What the fuck? Huh? Pretty good, tasty.
No, yeah.
Like-
MGS3,
like,
MGS3 is good.
I think just I personally, honestly, I think all the games, I'm pretty sure since Metal Gear Solid, but definitely at least since Metal Gear Solid 2, Kojima has been slightly taking the piss.
2 is the most take the piss, though.
I mean, 2
2
was
two
kind
is
of
about being
deliberately
meta.
written as a fuck you. He was like, I didn't really want to do a sequel, but you guys asked for it, so fuck it. Here's what I got.
It then becomes about meta and in the media, and then like about sequels itself.
Yeah, it's got
Yeah.
it's got a lot of Kojima's weird media opinions, and then 3 has its own
think they're that weird.
subtext. And then
Yeah.
for like four obviously ping pongs between war has
Favorite
changed.
finales.
If you kill a lot of dudes in a map, Snake literally has the flashback to Liquid saying, "You enjoy all the killing, that's why," and pukes his guts up mid map. If you go on a killing spree, like it is very serious, but also it's got shit like if you play J-pop on your iPod in game,
can have
the
the bosses
bosses will dance. Yes, and you can
Because
take
they're all
photographs.
ladies in power suits.
Yes, they're sexy ladies with incredibly bullshit, terrible backstories.
Oh god.
How
Yeah,
the fuck- how the
can we
fuck
talk-
does Drebin know
It's a
these
meme about how
backstories?
bad their backstory
Can we
are
talk
because it's
about this? Like, can we talk about this?
This archetype, sure, we can talk about Metal Gear Solid.
Kojima is a great game designer. Man, he is a shit writer. He's just a shit writer. I can't.
I mean,
I feel like he has good ideas, but I don't think he can write dialogue.
well,
can't
I'll
write
say this.
characters to save
That's
his
the thing.
life.
Kojima is not a writer. He is a director.
No,
he
he's a master
directs the
game
stuff.
designer.
He designs the gameplay. He directs like the feeling and the scenes. Honestly, I don't even know how much he actually directly writes his games anymore. Like,
That's
I
true.
don't think
there
he
are
should.
several writers credited with these things, but he sets them up and he executes on them, which he has a very idiosyncratic style. And yeah, I think there's just some ideas that he thinks are silly or cool that don't make any goddamn sense, but he's like, no, I want to do it. And he's Hideo Kojima, so it's like, okay, cool.
No.
Honestly-
I'm gonna put a face scan of Guillermo del Toro in my game. Why? Because I think Guillermo del Toro's rad, guys.
Also because I like
I mean,
I
I
like him
can't
doing.
argue
He
with
helps
him
me
on
make
that.
a bunch of cool designs for like the month.
I can't actually argue with him on the Guillermo
Like
del Toro thing.
Death Stranding is a weird game that I'm not gonna get into now because that's not related at all. but,
I
like,
just want to
there's
say
some
I have a
wild
very
shit.
weird opinion about why do they think that like power suited bullfrog ladies was the next step of warfare?
Well, I mean, I think it's because you brought this up earlier. I think Axe 4 is meant to be a finale. That was supposed to be Kojima's like, I'm fucking done. Snake is gonna eat his gun. It's over.
It was. The ending ended 5 times, literally.
Well,
oh
yeah,
god, the
he had a
ending of
couple.
MGS4 is just a pain.
Literally an hour of cutscenes. It's bad.
And then
But
5
no,
is
like-
weirdly like MGC3, but for 4, as in it's a
5 doesn't
prequel to
exist,
4.
and I will prefer it that
5
way.
is 5 is not.
I
done.
mean, 5 is literally unfinished is the problem. Like, game design-wise, 5 is amazing. Oh my god. The Fox engine is brilliant, and the stuff that they have you do, and, like, just the little
I think-
details. Guys, you cannot imagine the sheer kino of, I don't know, arriving in your fucking cargo helicopter to either Ride of the Valkyries, or, even more based, blaring, "You spin me right round" through the Afghani desert. It's just, like... Or, the fucking you and Quiet with sniper rifles just humming to yourselves as you murder dudes from 10,000 yards away.
Also, like how like only the main plot got finished and no other storyline got finished.
well, yeah, it's
I'll be
unfinished.
honest. I'll be honest. Video game soundtracks peaked at Watch Dog 2 because
Okay.
there's literally nothing better than breaking into a compound full of evil Scientologists with a giant machine gun while Fortunate Son plays in the background.
That's pretty good. There's some great licensed music selections. But Dallas, you cannot deny that your Hilo speakers blaring "You Spin Me Right Round" is indeed a mood.
True.
And
can't-
I mean, also the iconic song of Metal Gear Solid 5 is "The Man Who Sold the World." So, like,
True.
there's a
And
lot
they
of
got the
really good.
they got the better version in my
Yeah,
opinion.
it's-
so
it's-
I do appreciate.
It's a really interesting game, but the problem is that the plot is literally unfinished. There's supposed to be a third
No,
act, and there
it's-
just
it's-
isn't.
So,
Yeah. No, I've
so,
always.
like,
been a very
I guess
big
we're not
critic.
having a short stream anymore.
Oh, it's
I mean,
okay. It's like I said, the stream
I've been a
would be
bit.
short.
I've just always been critical of Kojima's writing ability because I feel like the only game I think is written semi decently is 3. Like, I'll be honest.
And that's more it works because it's moments than actually
1
overall
is
bits.
the most generic thing I've ever played,
That's a
and
sequel. I mean, that's a sequel to like 2 other games though.
2 is. I don't even
2 is
think
a
I
trip.
can count that as bad
Wait,
writing.
wait,
I mean,
Would
one
Metal
is
Gear
very,
1 and 2
is very
count?
iconic. I will say one is interesting because, hey, fun fact: the localizers punched up the dialogue. Like they rewrote a lot of it to be more action movie-y, which I think sets the tone better, but also I think contributes to what you're saying about it being kind of generic. They studied a lot of action movie and thriller tropes and like read some Tom Clancy before they actually like did the script and the recording. Like they wanted to make sure it felt right in English, which is something they don't do very.
Some of 4 is just what the fuck.
4 is really the hey Kojima wants to touch on all the stuff. You know, like
Again,
parts of it are amazing and parts of it are weird and long.
And
Again,
5 is
I've
just
always
crap.
taken as like I feel like by 3 and parts of 2, every Metal Gear Solid game has always felt like a movie franchise condensed into a game. Like 5 movies condensed into one game, or like
okay. You said it correctly. I was about to say condensed is incorrect because movies
it's
can't be as
the
long as
opposite
Metal
of
Gear
canon.
Solid games.
Yeah, it's like
No, I meant like a whole like that's what I'm saying, like a like.
But
6
they're
to
not
10
though
movies put into one.
because franchise movies have complete acts and parts in them.
and narratives
The
usually.
thing about
Or I
Metal
guess
Gear
it's
Solid
like a
games is that
miniseries.
they are honestly I would compare them to, and there is by the way a very excellent Metal Gear Solid novelization that I own. It was written many years later, but it's actually pretty good. They're really
yeah,
like
that
Tom
one.
Clancy techno thrillers is what they are. Like
Oh yeah, I guess in a game form.
And I do want to be very clear to the audience. I think most of the Metal Gear games are fantastic. It's just from a writing standpoint. Like,
and I mean, I
if
think
you-
anybody who genuinely loves Metal Gear is not going to tell you, oh, the Metal Gear writing is so sublime. A lot of the Metal Gear writing is like a fucking hammer. Kojima is here to let you know nukes are bad.
Plus, it's like no one could ever
Yeah.
take seriously of literally like 10 Marines cowering from a dude with a fake arm.
There's a lot of bullshit. Like in the you know the 90s and whatever when he wrote the original Metal Gear games, and it was like, sure, they end with a giant future tech mecha fight. That makes sense. And then you go to 3D and you're like, hold on, this is slightly ridiculous, isn't it? Why is there a giant dinosaur robot with a railgun? And he's just like, don't question it. There is. Shut up. Stealth nukes. Shut up. And then you have a fucking rad fight. Those are great.
Planetary land-based nukes.
And then 4 is like, hey, you know what's cooler than fighting Metal Gear Rex? What if you drove Metal Gear Rex?
What it became
What if you had a
commercialized.
kaiju fight with Ray?
It was cool.
I'll say that. I'll say this, and maybe this will get me canceled. I don't know. I think the best written Metal Gear Solid game is Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance.
I think that's
Well,
the-
and that's
I think
'cause
the point is,
Kojima didn't
basic
write it.
It's a basic
That's
plot,
fair,
but at
fair.
least it has like
That's
character beats.
the
Well,
plastic.
the character writing is
crazy.
the character writing is great.
Well,
The
and I
plot
think
writing
that's
is
fair because
incidental.
I don't think Raiden had a real character until Rising, because Raiden is
No.
kind of deliberately a non-character in 2, and in 4 he's having a bad time because he's been reduced to a head. Like all the rest of his body has been removed. He's just a head now and a spine, and they put him in a robot body. And
I don't-
his wife married the Colonel, and it's weird. It's weird, and I don't know if he's okay.
And that was also like a fake thing that he didn't know about because
That,
there's some.
well, and
because
that's
the whole
why.
thing- oh my god!
And that's why Snake is like, "Hey, Jack, are you okay?" Like
I
literally,
think
your
he- I think he
your
says he's
codec calls.
not.
Your codec calls with Raiden are just like, "Jack, are you all right? Do you need to talk?" And he's
But
like,
no.
"No, Snake, I am one with the wilderness, the path of the scouts." Snake.
he's I assume he's killing shit to not feel bad right now.
I'll say this: other than the boss and the end, and I mean the boss had like, God, how many games of build up does she have? Like 50? Because wasn't she also in the original Metal Gear games?
No, that's
No, the
another
boss.
guy.
The boss only existed in 3. She was
And then,
completely
and then she
introduced there.
came, and then she
I-
became the inspiration of
I
what led
will
to the original
say-
Metal Gears. And like,
I mean,
Street
no,
Fighter.
no,
Other
I'll
than-
say
other-
this.
Yeah.
The big thing is that the thing you're talking about, that effect, is because the game lets you know you're playing as Big Boss, basically. That puts into context of like, wait, this is Big Boss, the guy who was the bad guy behind the first 2 games and was Snake's clone dad and like all that shit. This
Yeah.
lady taught him?
No, 3 is the only one that really like with. I think it's with the boss and the end. Does a really good job of building up characters, and that's what I like about Revengeance because it does the same thing. It takes characters who you know nothing about, Sam and Senator Armstrong, and it makes you understand. Well, not understand is the wrong word. Understand is the very
Senator's fight
wrong
is
word.
really
Standing
funny, but
here,
you learn it
Dallas.
really well. Yeah.
Standing here, I realize you,
Good
like
songs, though.
me,
Oh God, Rules of Nature is such.
we're
a
just trying to
fucking-
make history. Anyway, I'm not going to do the whole thing. We've been going
All
for
right,
an
so
hour.
We should actually
Docs
continue.
Effect.
Yeah.
I'll read Doc's
Loth
effects
literally
for you.
exploded. No, I got it. Okay. Doc is another level 3 fiend. We're going in level order. He's 14-12. During either player's turn, you can activate from your hand. If a spell trap is activated in this column, add a magical musket card from your graveyard to your hand, but not a card with the same name as that activated card. You don't use this effect once per turn.
Yeah.
So Doc recycles. Makes sense. He's the doctor.
God, this guy is so weird when it comes to ratios. I've seen literally all 3 options with him.
I think it really depends on what you're doing with the deck and what you expect. Because, like, obviously, if you're dumping, like, if for some reason you're dumping muskets, he's good for that. You know, if you're playing Foolish Burial or Foolish Burial Goods, shit like that, Doc's great. If you're not going that route, Doc is like a 1 or 2 of recovery tool for after your opponent fucks with your
But
combo.
you can go so strong in using resources that you get a really good resource regeneration loop. So I usually do run him at 2 for that reason.
Well, and
always-
also,
yeah.
I believe in later builds, Max specifies special summon different magical musket monsters from your deck.
You want at least one of each of them.
So,
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
you can... If your opponent has enough spell traps, you can choose to summon him in any way, so you can do
But
some
no,
stuff.
the thing with Doc is if the deck is going well, and you're getting that good, like you get your negate, you get your stuff
Yeah.
off. Like he's a really good way to recover it and then use it
Again.
like
yeah.
again on that turn.
Because the thing is that each one of them are once per turn, but if you have 5 on board, you can just cycle between all 5 of them.
Well, yeah. No, did we
But
not copy correctly?
it's the thing of 2 of the magical muskets are good when you already have something going, but that's why Max is really important because you need to actually have started to get somewhere to do a thing.
Well, yeah, and
the
that's
thing
that's
with-
why Max has 2 effects, which is... you
the
just...
thing with Doc, which
Good.
is that like he is very good. Like if you have a back and forth guy, because Caspar is a hard. Like all of the musket guys are hard once per turns.
Yes.
So getting Caspar off correctly is very important.
Yeah. Because Caspar searches, and then Doc recycles, and this is our next guy, Kid Brave.
I actually,
This is Billy the Kid, by the way.
Yeah.
I really like this one because like even the weird additions actually kind of work. Like even the gun, it looks weird, but it just looks like a demon revolver.
I like the
I-
art.
I mean,
the effect is.
I'll say there's one thing about this that is one of those extra details that I'm not sure what the fuck is happening. He
Is
has
it
a
the
robot
cables?
arm. Yeah, why does he have a double cable whip hand on his robot arm? I don't know.
I
Is
don't
it his scomp link?
know.
I don't know. It's weird. Other than that, like...
I love the poncho though. I gotta be honest.
Yeah, no, the poncho's really good. I actually like that they've, I
wing
can't tell if
comes
it's
from the
tied to his
gun.
wrist or the gun, but the fact that they've, like, minimized the wing cloak thing, like, that's a
And
lot
it's
better
really
than
interest-
color comp.
It's like gun. I think it's like shares the size of the gun or something.
It's actually really interesting. Like in terms of like actual gunslingers, Kid Star is one of the only like. It's him and one other are the only actual gunslingers.
Yeah, Billy the Kid is actually a Wild
Yeah,
West
we'll talk
villain.
about some of the other ones later, but and as I said, Doc Holliday was literally a dentist whose family got shot, so he was like, "I'm gonna get a gun and I'm gonna kill that guy."
Now, he was decent at it, but
But he wasn't a gunslinger; he
no,
was a dentist.
he was he was.
but he was
you know,
while he was
to
well
be a
known
dentist.
for like being a gun. But yeah.
Whereas Billy the Kid was a
a
big deal.
criminal.
I've noticed there's a weird bit of like there's some Dark Magician style like body strappings or like even like DM era. Like,
I mean,
characters
well,
that
I'll
have
say
straps
this,
on their straps on their.
I don't know
like,
why the
legs and
straps
torso.
on him are asymmetrical, but hey, fun fact: before elastic fabrics, you required belts and straps. Your clothes don't work otherwise because not everything is form-fitting.
True.
So, like, actually belting his vest down wouldn't be a problem. The weird issue with Kid Brave is he's got, like, 3 belt buckles which go nowhere. They're just strapped to his back, and they're not his gun belt because that's... Or are they his gun belt? It might be his gun belt, but then
No,
why
I
does he
think
have
they're
3
his
belts?
gun belt.
Then why does he have
He's
3?
got
I
a-
don't know.
He's
But
got a weird
uses
hexagonal
a
pattern
Y
on
on
Then
like,
he's
his
got the
side of his
weird-
pants.
it's not a hex, it's a zigzag.
Fair.
Hexes are 6-sided, Axe.
I thought we were only selling half or half.
No,
of the
it would be a
thing.
triangle then.
No, those aren't gun
if
belts.
it's
Those are
overlapping.
just those are
No,
just
he just
buckle
has a
belts.
weird belt clip thing. I mean, it's not
Eh.
distracting. It's just kind of like, why?
It's
do you
very
have that there?
steampunk.
He's got like
Yeah.
or I guess I'm like Demon Punk, so to put it, because it's like it's got like
No.
actually the boots are good. Like he's got like decent knee pads. Like, they're just kind of like stylish-ish.
I refuse to
Stylish.
acknowledge Demon Punk is a thing.
I mean,
It could be a thing, but I think Dallas. I think Axe would be using it incorrectly because if Demon Punk was a storytelling trope and aesthetic, that would mean that literally everything was demons. His pants would be demons. His computers would be demons.
Yeah,
It would be
okay.
Demon Punk would be about the metaphorical implications of society being run on literal demons and what that means for you. Now
I
that
made
sounds
a
like a
joke
bitch
about
in urban fantasy setting, but
I made a joke about steampunk because there's a bunch of steampunk costumes.
Oh
that
my god,
literally
you
just
have to have
random
you gotta get
belt
you
buckles
gotta get the
everywhere.
new like mobile demon phone. You gotta get more Demonica phone.
yeah. But Dallas also is correct in that steampunk is an unfortunate genre that I don't really want to say cosplayers, but weirdos on the internet have turned into a fashion instead of a genre of
Style.
speculative
Which
fiction.
I'm okay with because most of it's good, but
But it's definitely one of
Some of it
those
is.
things where, like, storytelling-wise, it's hard to wrap around sometime.
Then I guess it's more
That said,
demonic steampunk.
this is absolutely... I mean, it's steampunk with a fantasy. This is absolutely a steampunk fantasy, like, aesthetic, because I would say that the Wild West is it's in the same steampunk time period. You don't usually see as much steam, but there's certainly all the trappings.
Also,
but-
the bit that because he's got like clothing that's like loose is that his arm's not affected to it.
Yes, he actually
Yes,
doesn't have... he doesn't have long sleeves, so it's just his hand.
It is easy to forget, but the Wild West time period does overlap with kind of the later parts of the Victorian period.
mm-hmm.
I will also agree earlier, this is a pretty decent gun design. Like, it's got, like, a bony hand wrapped around it on one side. There's that one spike down there that I'm not sure where that's coming from. Is that the holder of the
It's like-
cylinder?
I think it's like the base of the cylinder. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like the cylinder track.
Yeah, it's a little, like, there's a little weird details, but all in all, it's pretty good.
It's not bad.
No.
It's a gun.
Also,
definitely
as a thing, I find it pieced together, but the lightning I think is meant to be like the gun smoke essentially, but like in a weird kind of magic way.
I mean, I think it's just anime lightning.
Okay. Because it's always pointed from the direction of where if they fire the gun where the bullet.
No, it's
comes
not.
around.
X, it's running top to bottom.
Okay, I thought it was going from top right to bottom left, kind of.
Nope, look at it.
Mm,
It's running in
mm,
even
mm.
up and down patterns. The lighting effect is the like background like aurora effect. That's definitely the gun smoke because it's like radiating out in waves. But the lightning itself is definitely not that. It's just kind of emerging from Kid Brave, probably. It's his anime power.
I will say
lightning.
like 60% of this is really good. 40% of it is just I'm not sure.
I mean, I think it's the best art so far. Well,
That's fair.
this and Doc, but that's
It's
also
pretty.
not so
I mean, I
bad.
will say this. I think Kid Brave is, as we discussed, Doc is good because he's simple. Kid Brave is like, hey, we added some extra details, and this still pretty much works. Like, you have to get pretty
Yeah.
nitpicky to be like,
I
why does he have
still
weird
just don't.
cable arms? Why does he have 3 belts? Does it
Also,
matter?
why did he also has weird kind of like partial like pauldrons for some reason?
What?
No,
He's
he's
got
just
like
got
he's got like
no,
he's
he's
got like metal caps on his
It's
shoulders.
just on top of the poncho.
yeah, it's just part of his
Okay.
poncho. I think they're decorative. It's just because he had both his arms up. Technically,
Okay.
they're like,
No,
probably
the one who had weird pauldrons was Caspar.
That's fair. It just everyone's got like weird like metal bits on like the top
yes,
of their
that's
arms.
steampunk, Axe. You bolt
Okay.
brass to
Welcome to
everything for no
steampunk.
reason.
Yeah, I just never thought like I maybe I'm super where it's like I thought Magic Musketeer was just magic demon guns and not just demonic steampunk.
I mean, you're forgetting they are magic demon guns, but you have to think they're Wild West guns. So everybody's
Yeah,
wearing
unfortunately,
everybody's Wild
Wild
West.
West does get lumped in with steampunk a lot.
It's all Will Smith's fault.
I do actually believe. No. You cannot let Kevin Smith off the hook either.
In what
It's
context?
the Smith's fault.
Didn't he direct it, or was he supposed to direct it? I can't ever
I do
remember.
not think he was involved in Wild Wild West. You would be
No,
thinking
he definitely was involved because he had a pit. Hold on.
Anyway,
specifically the 1999 film, by the way, not the original TV
Desperado.
series. Which, by the way, Wikipedia literally is a 1999 American steampunk western film.
Oh, that's right. So the dude who directed Wild Wild West was going to direct a Superman reboot, and Kevin Smith petitioned him to use the giant spider again for it. That's what it was.
Christ.
Ugh.
But yeah, there is a Kevin involved, but it's Kevin Kline who was the other guy.
Yeah. God, that movie is so
Wow.
bad.
Also, hilariously, by the way, at the time of its release, it was one of the most expensive films ever made when adjusting for inflation, and thus was a
I
commercial
think it's still
failure.
up there.
Yes, it is.
It has so
is-
many just scenes that don't need to
It was
be
produced on a $170 million budget, and it only made $113 million, and $100 million overseas. So it was a.
I feel like Will
Loss.
Smith is an actor who is like very decent, like 20% of the time, but then God,
I
damn,
mean,
does he pick some
Da-
bad
Dallas.
movies.
There's a reason why he started doing harder hitting roles in like the late 2000s. It's because he was very popular, but he was popular for witty,
Schlock.
goofy movies. Yeah, schlocky movies. Like Men in Black is funny, but like, is it truly that
No.
iconic? It's
It's not
okay. I
good.
mean, it's really.
I think there was
The Tommy
a-
Lee Jones, Will Smith, like the buddy cop dynamic, great.
I'm
The
trying to
actual movies
remember
are just
if
kind of okay. Does
I'm
anybody
trying to
remember?
remember if. No, but I remember Gemini Man partially, but that's because I think the
Oh,
movie was
that's
why
a
did
later
you
movie.
watch that?
That
Why?
movie was like the cover was middling. I mean, I only saw parts of it. I only watched parts of it passing while doing something
Hancock
else.
was really good.
Oh, that is Will Smith. Huh?
Like that was definitely
Yeah.
the part where we turned on like superheroes can be serious.
Yeah.
You know, Price of Happiness. He did the concussion movie.
Pursuit of Happiness
Pursuit of
is
Happiness, yeah.
awful.
I mean, but
Or
it's
I
very
think it's
dramatic and award baity.
That's true, but I don't like movie. Oh
I-
God, he was in
I-
I Am Legend, which is one of the worst movies of all time.
True fact.
Specifically because it's an adaptation of
Yes.
one of the best short stories of all time.
It's a very
And I'm
weird.
still mad
adaptation.
about it. I, will
I mean
not
that
be.
Dallas, that you can't. Well, I mean, you can blame the filmmakers for caving, but you should blame the focused audiences because they tested the ending that was true to the short story, and people were
That's
butthurt about
true.
it. They were very
That's
sad,
true.
and they were upset and didn't understand it, so they changed it. I think you can.
Also,
I think you can view the original ending on the DVD or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
that where
It
he
doesn't
dies
totally
fighting?
fix the movie because it's still bad.
Yeah.
But no, the one who dies fighting is the theatrical release. The original
I'm more-
ending is that basically the vampires, because that's what they are. They're not zombies.
Yeah.
And it drives me insane that people call them zombies. The vampire male goes in and picks up the female's body that he was experimenting on, hisses at him, and then goes away.
Yeah, where it's like, oh,
Well, no, the
I'm
point of
forever the invader here now.
So first of all, they can speak in the original short story, which was a decision I don't understand.
Honestly,
Well,
that would've
I
made
think
it a
it's
bit
because
different, yeah.
Dallas, you're talking about the zombie thing. It's because they were trying to cash in on the zombie craze, which was
That-
They
very
were trying to do
Probably
they were trying to do
true.
vampiric zombies.
well, they were
But,
definitely vampires
yeah,
in the original short
no.
story, but they were trying to cash
But the
in.
reason
on 20
I
Years
Am
Later,
Legend
basically.
makes sense because that's not the name of the story, but it makes sense as the name because the whole concept is that he is the legend, like the boogeyman that they tell each other about. Like he is their boogeyman.
Anyway, now that we've done
There's a
another
better
guy-
one with Vincent Price done.
now that
about
we've chased away our audience again, it's not actually true. I
Sorry.
think our concurrent viewers have gone up. It's just there's nobody is speaking to us in chat at all because they have
That's
nothing
fair.
to comment about this shit. Kid
And I have
Brave's
nothing
effect.
to
He is a
add
level
either.
3 light fiend. He has 1600 attack, 200 defense. During either player's turn, he has the spell card effect, and then he has when a spell trap is activated in the column, discard a magical musket card, draw 2 cards. So Kid Brave is definitely a weird one. I think with Max, he's a lot less essential because ideally you're running a number of Caspars and Maxes, so you can just add whatever spell traps you need. But depending on your deck variant, you're running cards that you can't hard search. So he can be decent. We also talked about Doc being, requiring graveyard setup. So Kid Brave can set up your graveyard if you want. But it's definitely it's a weird utility card. It is not a. I know it says draw 2. In Magical Musket, that's not a universal. I want that because your best cards just add whatever you need right then.
Yeah, Kid Brave is kind of a one of. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, you run him as for a name, not actually because he's important.
And I will also say, I think he has an awkward stat line. Obviously, Magical Musketeers, hey, they're a spell trap focused deck. They're kind of a control deck. They're about when your opponent tries to do something, you interrupt them or negate them or just be like, hey, cool board, bro. I blow it up. And I
No,
do some stuff.
Hello?
Yeah, you're here,
Did my
Dallas.
mic die? Okay.
No, you're fine. Did your ears die? I think Dallas's ears died. Hold on, let me yell at him. It's hard to tell with Dallas because he's lit up literally all the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can always just kind of serve and mute him.
Well, I don't want to do that because I can hear him speak. He just can't hear us, I don't think.
Right.
Now he's busy fucking with his settings. Hello, Marth.
Yeah.
Okay, he left. He's gonna go fix that. What the fuck were we talking about? Kid Brave, right.
Sure, I'm back.
We can still hear
good,
you,
we
by
can
the way,
finally
buddy.
move on.
No, what I was gonna say is they're the only actual control deck in Yu-Gi-Oh, or one of them, in the classical sense of control.
Yes,
That
this is
doesn't
the
just amount
more
to
magic style of control, as opposed to most Yu-Gi-Oh control decks are stun decks.
Omega. I'll make the argument every other card game sense of control.
True. And I mean, honestly, part of that has to do with Yu-Gi-Oh's terminology. People call it a control deck.
It's a stall deck.
Yeah, I think that the way that we talk about it like, just admitting control decks are either anti-meta or stun, your opponent does nothing, or specifically, if your opponent does something that's hot right now, they don't do it. You counterplay cards that are big. That's different than how most games talk about control, because, as we've said before, and in Yu-Gi-Oh, there's no resource system to manage other than cards.
Control is about out-advantaging your opponent by denying them resources with your resources.
So,
And
let us move along.
I mean, I guess hand loop decks are kind of control decks.
I mean, Loth, if you're going to be salty about Metal Gear Solid, I will literally turn this into a Metal Gear Solid podcast to spite you.
I mean, I'm up for that, but let's do the archetype first.
I don't like when the peanut gallery is like, oh, these guys bummed around whatever. You went and played
I didn't say
games.
anything about stopping it.
Okay, I see.
All right, he's left completely.
Oh god, this art.
Yes, this
I-
is Calamity.
I for some reason
I
thought she
fucking
was,
hate this art.
I for some reason okay, listen. I originally thought for some reason she had like glasses on for some reason, and also I thought the
No.
rocket launcher, or I guess the plasma cannon, wasn't so fucking weird.
No,
No, it's always been
this art, unlike a lot of the other art for
Base
me,
is kind of basic.
the
though.
problem with this art is entirely the gun. The fuck is it?
Well, I'm pretty sure when you see it from the back, it's got like 4 slots. It's supposed to be like a rocket launcher, but yeah, it's very weird.
It's like a
weird
plasma
steampunk
rocket launcher.
thing. Like, it's got 4 exhaust ports. I would have thought it was like a little Katushka like baby missile launcher thing. This is
see
like
that
a
because
weird
It has
steam
like
gun?
a shoulder pad in
It's
the
got
back
a
of it.
boiler.
It has like a demon energy tank.
Yeah,
like
it's,
how,
it's
like,
got a
the other
boiler
guns-
on it, and it's got a steam gauge.
There's also the thing of like you can see like there's the shoulder pad in the back of like coils,
That's not a shoulder pad.
or I guess the
It's
Where
got
you
coils
rest
in
it?
the back. No, it's resting against her shoulder where it's supposed to be resting against her shoulder. That's the trigger group right there.
Yeah, I don't like this design. at
No,
all.
this is, hey, we're trying to do that like small girl big gun thing, but our weird demonic
But
steampunk guns are
the
weird.
big gun looks dumb.
I'd honestly rather she had like 5 different guns she was just kind of juggling between.
Honestly, the rest of the design is fine. Also, this is the only time that
she's
cape,
like she's a weird demonic steampunk showgirl. It's just like
Well, yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what it is.
the cape.
The hair's
honestly,
kinda
this is
cool.
I'll say this: this is the only time that cape hasn't looked stupid to me.
I think it's
Oh, yeah,
because
the-
she's not wearing another cape. Like,
That's probably it.
a lot of the other guys are double caping. Like, even Kid Brave was like wearing a poncho and then also
Wait,
like,
did
weird
Doc
thing
even
on his gun.
have a cape in his
I
art?
just-
Yeah,
I've just
it was
noticed
slung over
something.
his shoulder. It's just it's
Mine
hard to
is-
tell because he's also wearing
You
a doctor's coat.
I've just noticed a thing. I think her design's actually like a mesh between like 3 different like Wild West entertainment girl kind of things. Like it's
Well,
the-
yeah.
I mean, it's all one
the-
Wild West Entertainment girl.
I meant like as in like besides like the Calamity Jane like show slinger, and then like the Can dancer.
No, she's
Yeah, that's
she's pretty
all
much
that.
primarily just the cabaret dancer.
It's all that. It's just all that there.
Oh okay.
Yeah, that-
She also has a giant. None of this.
Celebrity
Actually, none of
Calamity
this is a
Jane-
gunslingery costume.
Yeah, spoiler, Calamity Jane just dressed like Billy the Kid.
True. Yeah.
Not that like the showgirl type aesthetic doesn't work for like changing.
No,
things
I
up,
think it
right?
works great.
And they've got some
Like I said,
interesting extra details.
my problem
here.
with this art is entirely on the gun.
Also, the interesting thing is you can also, because she's holding the gun with both hands, you can see it's affecting both of her arms and her hair.
Yes,
Also,
where her
it
hair is
just
touching.
it just looks like a boombox.
Yeah, it's a weird
Yeah.
design, and I do not like it. Up
They could have.
close.
I feel like they could have.
And they
improved
like
that a
like
lot.
this bit. This is just the muzzle brake on like an M16, only it's huge. Like
Yeah,
it's the artist was trying to do something unique, and this is certainly unique. But as I said, I don't mind like Kaspar's weird energy gun thing, because that's like small, and you're like, okay, I understand what's going on. This, I'm just like, I don't even know what this is supposed to do. Like
I will say,
I guess it's an
I
energy
think
weapon.
it's honestly a better art when it's a shot of her from the back firing it. Honestly.
Well, yeah, like
It's
I
a-
said, because I think her card is Desperado.
Yeah, it's the actually important ones.
Yeah. When you see it from the back, it's got 4 exhaust ports, and I'm like, oh, so it's like a four slot rocket launcher. Okay.
I thought
follows.
it was more. I thought it was like that kind of rocket launcher. You know,
But
I
this
never,
is just weird.
I've never seen it this close up. Also, her face is just kind of basic, but I think
I mean,
it's
it's
because
none of the faces in this have been super detailed.
No, the faces have all
Doc
been
was like
fucking...
Doc was like the best because he was just like a dude.
Well, no, the
I mean, they all have.
I
basic
can tell you
faces.
exactly where these faces are. These are all just fucking Metal Slug characters.
Oh my god, they are Metal Slug faces. Yeah.
Sounds about right.
does
That's
feel like
Actually,
that.
yeah.
It's not a heavy detail, but it's not over point. But yeah, no, there's some stuff going on here. I like the changing her hair color to the demonic blue. I didn't notice that before. That's like, oh, it's a good little detail.
That's the first thing I
Um,
noticed. I didn't notice her hands until a bit later.
The gun is not good details. And also, like I said, look at this weird spiky trigger guard on the side. You are gonna shank yourself so hard using this thing.
Yeah,
How does
'cause
she
honestly,
like put her eye far enough forward to like look through the scope? 'Cause
Oh,
that's
the bit
clearly
is
the
it like
viewfinder.
because you see where the coils are? That she'd rest her shoulder under that, and then
Okay.
hold her
No,
other
Axe,
arm.
that's not.
No, I looked at Desperado. No, the gun's even stupider than I thought.
Because the optic is
I
up
hate
here.
this gun.
You hold the trigger right
Yeah.
there, and you rest your eye behind the
Spoiler,
optic.
the barrel is just the thing on the end.
I
Yeah.
didn't follow Dallas at all. We'll get into there.
No, the barrel is just the thing at the end. The big glowy thing.
You know.
Yeah, it has the 4 box thing at the end of it for no good reason, just aesthetics.
You can kind of see the
I mean,
edges
I'm
of them
pretty
in the
sure
art.
it's glowing. Anyway, we'll look at it later. We are looking at spell traps.
That's
Uh,
true.
I would say
First,
one thing is, like,
Calamity's
it-
effect. All right,
Okay.
next what?
I would say like if there's like a 3D model, I could see her doing like fucking tossing the thing around, like spinning it around.
Okay.
or something.
Anyway,
So-
Calamity is a level 4 light fiend. She's her first 4. She doesn't have better stats than the 3s. She's 15-13. I don't really know why she's 4, other than just for other interactions you can have in the extra deck. She has the activate from hand effect, and then if it is activated, you can target a magical musket monster in your graveyard and special summon it in defense position. So she is a recycler like Doc, but only for monsters, but she does special summon them.
She's a card
Yeah.
you don't want to have in your opening hand. She's not good at your
She
opening
is like the definition of a 1-of in this deck, in my opinion.
I think you
like-
could run her at 2 because she actually has okay stats for how you modify them, but
If you're playing the deck right, the stats don't really matter because of a certain card.
true, yeah, you just do 0.
Well, 2 certain cards.
There's a couple of cards that are relevant, but yes. I was talking about that with one of them earlier. I was mentioning, like, if you're actually being a control deck, you're not necessarily swinging for game, but a lot of your opponents will probably be like, no, I can.
Well, no.
If you don't attack them, they'll be like, no, I can play through.
Yeah, no.
So-
Spoiler: one of the ways this deck controls is attack modulation.
Yeah.
In both directions.
So you do eventually need to win the game, so having slightly better stats does matter, even if just because she's 1500, if you double her attack, that's 3k kind of a thing. Spoilers.
I'll
Also,
be very
hey,
honest.
guess what? We talked about this. This deck is all light. This is a deck you run Honest with because that's just a card you put in your hand.
The way
That's
that
actually
the
important.
way that the way that Magical Musketeers usually wins the game is locking down your opponent's resources and then make a Boral Sword Dragon.
A lot of decks are like that. A lot of decks are, can you get 4 summons on board? Okay. can you get 4 summons on board after disrupting your opponent? Cool. Make Boral Sword. Like, I have been playing
actually good
against
at
the...
that.
Oops, I accidentally closed Chrome.
No,
I was
the-
trying to
the-
tab over all the way to Discord. Thanks, 2 monitors. The music has died. Don't worry, I'll restore all tabs.
Yeah.
I kind of need them because I need to read stuff. But I have been doing some test decks against the Sullivan Great AI deck in EDO Pro, which, God, whatever Gremlin, I'm sure that's a real competitive deck, but whatever Gremlin made that thing, I'm so glad that we have our own ban list. It's not proper because they're playing a lot of banned cards. They're playing like 3 Imperm and 3 Valor, among other hand traps and shenanigans. But
If only you can make it play your ban list, but it wouldn't work.
well, no, EDO Pro would just tell you this deck isn't allowed because you can't edit the AI deck lists.
Oh, you can play the AI. I'm feeling lucky AI, but that one's stupider.
Well, you can play it against your own decks. What I'm saying is you cannot set the Forbidden Limit list and use the Salad deck. It's not allowed. It will tell you can't do that because
Yeah.
its deck list is fixed. Anyway, yeah, their strategy, that deck's strategy, if you make anything that is bigger than Sunlight Wolf or Mirage Stalio, which is its usual end board, along with like 2 or 3 other Salomon Greats, I cannot wait for Giant Rock to come out. But the thing is, because Salomon Great summons forever, I think it only stops because once you make Boral Sword, you've used all your salads and can't recur anymore. So, that turn anyway. So, yeah, like, if you make anything that's bigger than Sunlight Wolf inherently, that deck's only move is just, well, I'm just going to keep summoning until I've got 4 guys, and we're going to make Boral Sword and kick your ass.
Yeah, no, Calamity is a theoretically, it's what I like to call a theoretically good Yu-Gi-Oh card.
I mean, it gets you an
If
extra...
you don't understand how the deck works, it's great, but...
And I think at the time, clearly, like, Calamity was meant to work with cards like Kid Brave. You know, Kid Brave dumps 1, draw 2, and then you're like, and then I can get Calamity, activate a Spell Trap and Calamity's,
Honestly,
you know,
how
zone
you do
after
that
I've drawn.
is that if you max into summoning like 4 muskets, that works.
Well, yeah, and Calamity is good as a 1-of to summon off Max because Max is a Link 1. You had to put a guy in there.
Honestly, Calamity is one of the 2 I've seen cut in final lists.
I mean, if you're hard up for deck space and you've got something better to do, yeah, sure. It's a cut because it relies on...
because you can only summon 4 off of Max, so... Generally, those are 5, rather. So, generally, 4 of those are locked down pretty easily. And then... Spoiler, Calamity and her husband are generally the flex slots.
I knew this would be bad. I've never looked at Wild up close.
Are we
yeah,
on a
Wild never
Bell
looked
now?
good.
I mean,
Wild
technically, we
never
should
looked
do
that good from
Starfire,
afar.
but since you brought him up, I kind of want to do Wild.
Yeah, Wild...
And now that I've looked
yeah.
at him, I think I have to inflict this on all y'all.
Spoiler, Wild Bill Hickok is that
so
Wild...
Wild never looked...
Oh my god.
So I
Why
wanna-
is Kratos a Yu-Gi-Oh card?
So, okay, one moment.
Dread Kratos.
I just say like the first like 3 sentences.
Why did Bob Marley just fuck Kratos?
Okay, one thing is, even from afar, he doesn't look that much different than what I thought. Besides more detail on the guns, I will say the only thing nice about him is his hair. His hair's okay.
I mean, I don't know why he has dreads, but you're right. They're drawn
Bob
well.
Marley
His hair
Kratos.
is fine. He's got a
Why?
decent build. I don't know what else is going on besides maybe the cape is kind of cool. Is like it's hanging from the back of his pants, or
Well, yeah,
I think
and
it was hanging
also
from one of
as,
his
as
guns,
we've
and that's
discussed,
kind
he
of
doesn't
it.
have extra. He doesn't have extra cape action, so it's
No.
just one.
I just
Oh.
don't know what else the fuck is going on here. He
Okay,
just
I
covers
can
his
tell you
visuals
what
and
this
weapons.
is. This is a Rambo reference. Like,
Almost
easily
has-
100%. It has to be.
Also,
but
I
that
feel
was
like-
a bad idea.
Also, you can see both of his hands have been demonized, but not his shoulders, since they have like missile on them.
Well, no. The missiles aren't on his shoulders. They're on little hands, which are gripping his shoulders.
It's probably very painful.
I actually really like the way his guns are designed, with the hands grabbing the parts of the guns. I actually think that's really cool.
There's some cool ideas here.
I mean, I
It's
guess
just- don't-
how all the barrels and stuff are stuck together. It's definitely one of those like fucking Nerf
But
Super Soaker
once
bullshit
again,
stuff.
Bob Marley, Kratos, Lobo. Like, why?
Yeah,
This guy
it's
is
just,
totally
Who
Lobo. Yeah.
approved of that?
And
This guy is just
honestly,
steampunk Lobo.
I would probably be better if he didn't have like 5 barrels on these things.
Or the giant tribal tattoos for no reason.
Yeah, the tattoos.
honestly,
like, there's
if
a
it
lot
were-
of weird choices here.
It would have been cooler if he was just like he had the thing on his shoulders and he was just carrying a Gatling gun.
Yeah,
A lot of stuff like
I like the gun on his right. Is that his right hand? No, his left hand. The one with the one that just looks like a Gatling
the quad
gun.
barrel. The quad barrel.
Yeah, I have more of a problem with his other hand.
I mean,
And
it
the
is a
missile
Gatling
launcher
gun, but
shoulder
also
pad.
Dallas. He's got that gun and that gun and that gun and that gun. That's all that one gun.
But
Like,
I like how
I think
they're
there's a- wait,
how they're attached.
Wait, that's a Kalashnikov's base right there. What the fuck?
No, it's literally guns literally being attached by demons.
Yeah, no, they're just
Yeah.
grabbing.
I actually
the skull hand
really
thing.
like the aesthetic.
I mean, the aesthetic is okay. I do think it's a little busy because he's got like 2 of them and he has his shoulder guns.
No, it's true, but
But
I would say
there's-
this is.
There's a lot of
Busy-
ways you could simplify parts of
Does
Wild.
it make
which are
sense
dumb.
when I say this is busy in a way that makes sense?
I think for the gun design, definitely.
His pants are a question, but
No, his character design outside the guns is awesome.
And I'll say I don't think I like the I'd like the guns better if they picked a different color scheme. Like green and gold to me is definitely like I said, like the Super Soaker vibes. Like if they'd gone with
What
a
co-
little bit more of a
yeah.
gunmetal gray or a less like flat gold
I
color.
think they were trying to go for brass
No,
for
I
everything.
think the
yeah.
gold is the problem. If
Yeah.
you just change that gold silver, it's fine.
Yeah,
I more took it as like shined brass, but that's fair.
But it still looks bad.
yeah, it's
that's
I
fair.
mean,
Guns
it's,
don't.
it's still in a
Guns
golden
don't
color.
come in that color.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Like
guns aren't brass.
unless you're Skirnanga, you don't have guns that color.
yeah. Today we learned Dallas can't say Scaramanga.
No, I can say Scaramanga. I just call him Skirnanga.
I don't know.
How
I
dare
don't
you
know why
insult the
that's-
man with the golden gun this way, Dallas?
I blame it for playing way too much 007 Nightfire with my friends
Fair enough.
when I was way too young.
Fair enough.
By the way, an actual good 007 shooter game, unlike GoldenEye, which is terrible.
I mean,
Yeah.
GoldenEye was a lot of
hey-
people's first FPS, so
hey,
you can't deny the fun. But
I mean,
you are
I-
correct.
I mean,
It's goofy as hell.
As a side thing, I just found the most amazing song ever.
No,
It's-
I just think three.
Okay.
I just think I don't understand how
sorry,
anyone ever.
I've heard this in
didn't-
fucking everything.
Oh, no, my point is to elaborate on the GoldenEye point. My point is just I don't understand how anyone ever used a 360, a like that kind of shooting scheme. I don't even know what you would call it.
Stop and shoot. Like the
No,
actual
like
stopping and
the
looking.
64 controller like double stick POV shooting.
Dallas, you just did it.
Okay, I guess.
Could
I
I- could
hate
I-
the control scheme
Could I
in the game.
explain to you how it works now? No, I haven't held an N64 controller
That's very
in
true.
20 years. But
No,
I played
I'll say-
GoldenEye as a kid. It just works.
Guys, can we please not stay here?
I will
Oh, now that we're
stab you,
talking about
Alex.
something you don't know about because GoldenEye
Alex,
for
I'm
the
gonna
N64
stab
is
you.
older
Golden-
than you.
Stab
I
I'm
just
a
feel
stab
like it's
you.
almost
I'm a-
11, and I have
I'm a
to go
stab
wake
you.
up in the
I
morning.
could talk about
Well, you could
GoldenEye, I
leave,
won't.
but me and Dallas are
stab
just
you.
going to play test games forever. Anyway, Magical
stab
Musketeer
you.
Wild is a level 4
Oh,
fiend. He's 1700 attack, 1900 defense, so he's a decent body for your summons. He's a large boy. It makes sense. He is Wild Bill Hickok, by the way, in case you couldn't get from
Oh,
Wild.
yeah.
And his effect, other than the hand effect, is you can target 3 magical muskets in your graveyard, shuffle them back, draw 1. It's very interesting. I'm kind of surprised. I guess it makes sense because you are a spell trap focused deck and you need a way to get those back because the only card that universally does that is a trap card, so it's bad. Jar of Avarice, by the way. I guess you could Transmigration Prophecy.
The problem is Doc exists.
Yeah, Doc lets you just add back to hand right away. It's very
So-
funny. I think that, like, Wild and Kid Brave both have this problem where Konami was like, this is Yu-Gi-Oh! People love to draw cards. And it's like, yeah, people do love to draw cards, but if you're playing this deck right, you don't need to draw cards.
What the fuck? Sorry.
Like, I don't necessarily know why you would need this. I mean, as a flex slot, like a one-of, just because he's a big boy, that makes sense. He is, I think, he's your largest attack points outside of
I mean,
the
I
large
generally
lad.
cut him. I generally cut Wild, I'll be honest.
Yes. But I can see an argument for running him.
Yeah. And I'm one of those weirdos that runs Zakiel, so... But... Yeah, no, I've never run this man because I just... Like, there are better cards that do the same thing.
Yeah. No, it's definitely an oddball one. Like we said, this is a card that you look at and you're like, with your normal Yu-Gi-Oh brain, you're like, oh, this is amazing. Shuffle back, draw one. That's great. And then you actually play the deck and you're like, oh, I don't usually need to do that.
Yeah, because you're running 3 of most of the spell and traps, and the ones you're running 1 of are very situational.
Yeah. So let's pull up, I think, our oddball here.
I love this art, by the way.
Oh, it is.
This is my favorite art. Probably.
Okay,
If it's who I think it is.
It's Starfire.
Oh, it's Starfire? Okay,
Yeah.
no, not my favorite art. My
kind of
favorite art is
expected
the other one.
Yeah. I'll say this. Starfire's kind of interesting. I think she looks like she's got a little boot gun down there. Oh, and
Well,
she's
she has
holding
a Derringer.
Yeah, she's holding a tiny Derringer in her other hand. She's got
I
one.
can tell you
of her
who
ankles
she
as well.
is, because
she's
I know
got-
quite
she
a bit
got
about...
Bellstar, yeah. I
Yeah.
had to look her up because I didn't recognize her name off the top.
Yeah, she is one of the James gang.
Yeah. This is it's funny. This, much like Billy the Kid, this is an actual
This is a
Wild
real
West outlaw.
real boy outlaw. Not a...
I actually really like the design because it's like, I almost feel like I could just see this as like a party member in like a Wild West RPG.
Yeah,
But
probably.
yeah, no, the interesting thing about Bellstar is she was murdered after committing a crime, and the case went unsolved, which probably means it was the sheriff's office. But
True crime mysteries. But yeah, I'll say this. I think this design is...
I really like this design, Joyce.
what's the phrase? Not hindered by the fact that like the fact that they went for like lots of little small guns. Like I said, you can see that she's got looks like a couple spare derringers on like a ankle holster. Like,
well, yeah, and carrying spare
I'll bet
derringers
also
makes
like
sense.
compared to the problems we had with Calamity, the fact that they're like, no, she's got little demonic derringers, that works a lot better. You know, kind of the veils and the mystery and the long skirts, and then you're like, surprise, guns. Nah,
Well,
it's
it's like
a good aesthetic.
with guns, like, to me, it just needs to make sense. Like, the fact that Calamity had a 50-foot tall gun isn't the problem. It's that it's a 50-foot tall gun that didn't make Euclidean sense.
Yes. It's it reminds us of our discussions about the extra heroes back in the day, where we're just like, what is this guy holding? How does it work?
I was just the wing. Really feel like it's coming from the base of her gun.
I mean, it probably is, or it's coming from her wrist thing. Remember, Kid Brave also had it tied to his gun.
Also, interesting because she has a bunch of tiny guns. She doesn't have full corruption. It's all just in her fingers and her veins.
Yeah.
Derringer's much like this is one of the problem I have whenever fucking anyone draws pirates, because pirates have you would usually have 8 guns strapped to them.
Usually have one shot in each one.
Well, yeah, because much like pirate weapons, Derringers only have 1 shot.
Yeah, it's a single fire pocket pistol.
There are usually 2 sometimes.
Sometimes.
I mean, it depends on the design, but the classic pocket pistol could be as little as 1 shot. And they're tiny. They don't go very far because the barrels are also short as hell.
They're meant for people assaulting you.
Yes, the Derringer is a pocket pistol. It's meant to go in your waistcoat pocket so that if a brigand steps upon your carriage or knocks upon your door, you go, reach in your
poke
pocket
it into
blade.
their chest and fire.
Literally point blank.
No, I really like that because, like I said, I always have a problem when they depict pirates with 1 gun, and I'm like, okay, so he has 1 shot.
Well,
almost
Dallas,
no
in
point in using
movies,
guns.
pirates only have 1 shot so they can fire 1 dramatic bullet, and then you draw swords because swashbuckling is cool.
Yeah, as opposed to that, that's one of the things oh god, this is another tangent, but I don't care.
I mean, we're
one of the
almost
things I
at monsters,
appreciated about Black Flag was that they actually did an accurate depiction of Blackbeard, because realistically he was almost a pacifist in that he never, until his arrest, he never actually killed a single person.
No, he was
Because
just
he was
terrifying
very much
motherfucker.
Okay, the way we rob people is be the most terrifying people imaginable.
And if they're shitting themselves, we'll just take all their shit.
Yes.
I'm gonna set my beard on fire, and if anybody decides to resist that, we'll thump him and go home.
Yeah, no, pirates, yeah.
So
That's
anyway,
just interesting.
Starfire is
yeah,
another
I
level
love
4.
Starfire,
She
it's
is
fun.
1700.
She's really important.
She's got a good design, and yeah, she's very important because
yeah.
her effect is when a spell trap is activated in your column, special summon any magical musket that's level 4 or lower, except Starfire in defense position. So, again, talking about like how it's really easy to rotate your deck. You don't need to draw cards. You just add or place on the board from your deck. So, Starfire is a very important card. I think the fact that I only had 2 is why I didn't immediately try and run Magical Musketeer. Though I do have a
I had to
playset
get
of
3
Max,
because
so...
I needed 3 because like it makes the deck actually work.
Well, yeah, I know, but you slurped up all the 3s. You sucked them all up.
I just pulled 3 from my pack. So
But
I
I'll
was
say
like,
this,
Okay, I
you-
guess I'm playing the deck.
I'll say this at least, Axe. You did not camp Magical Muskets. You tried to run that back twice before you came to the conclusion that was like,
I regret the
yeah,
second
without
time.
Max, this doesn't really go very far.
Yeah, well, it's like.
I'll be honest.
I
I used Axe's original attempt as my like gauge of like, yeah, no, I do need to wait, don't I? I don't even think it was necessarily Max. I just think because to me, Magical Muskets is always a link deck, just because the levels are so weird. It's hard to make them in Xyz
Yeah,
deck.
3s or 4s.
Well,
and the
yeah,
problem is
I mean,
there's
that's the
also no
that's the other
decent-
beautiful thing. You talked about how you just make Boral. Hey,
Yeah.
Max is if
No.
you play it correctly and your opponent has a bunch of monsters, can just be a 1-card Boral.
No, my big problem with Magical Muskets has always been, like, I didn't have a link pool to make the deck.
Well, yeah, and they came out at a very
Same
weird
because-
time because they came out in MR4 without a link, and they had no extra deck. And I
So
assume
the
what
weirdest.
Konami was trying to make you do was just play a main deck, and then they realized, wait, that doesn't work.
So the weirdest thing about it is that actually, I think now that Max and then the Burning Abyss link came out, because before that
Cherubini.
there were not really any links that actually support how you play the deck at all really well. Like there are no actual like fiend ones that just like let you pitch a fiend or search a fiend card or like anything that's like specific that's like outside of like I guess.
Yeah.
You put
Well,
fiend
yeah,
in,
that's what,
but
and that's
doesn't
what
do
I was
much.
saying though, that like the generic links were not existing.
And
Well, it
because-
wasn't even that. It was I literally didn't have any links.
Well, that's true, but also Dallas, there were no good links to make. I
That's
think we
true.
still don't. Did we just get Hippo Shingen, or we still don't have that guy?
No, we have Hippo Shingen, but
Yeah.
we just got Cherubini.
Which
Although I
is
don't
Well,
believe
no,
I
no,
don't
that I'll
believe
say
Axe-
that. Did anybody get Cherubini?
That was
I
like
did,
one.
yes.
Okay.
I'm not giving it up because not only does it go in Magical Musket, but it goes in like 50 decks I want to play.
All right, so I'll ban him.
Because I like Fiend decks. Sorry. I like Fiend decks and I like level 3 decks, and he goes in
Time
both.
to put him to prison then.
Why? He doesn't even do anything other than just search.
pitch.
Well, you'll be searching and I won't.
Okay. Alright.
Is he ever reprinted?
Well, I'm just gonna ban every other Link 4 that I don't get.
It's
You've
not a
gotten all the
Link 4?
balls so far.
It's a link
2.
3.
Also, hey, Dallas, do you
2.
need a playset of Boral Sword? I got 2 more out of Hero's Revenge because it's awful.
I actually got a playset of Boral Sword from Hero's Revenge as well.
That's because that set is awful.
Also, Omega, I didn't just get 2 from Hero's Revenge. I got 3 from Hero's Revenge.
I don't actually know how many I got from Hero's Revenge. I know I got at least 2. I didn't really want to count. You'll hear it when we get to that recording in like a week or two. Literally for my Hero's Revenge, I have to fucking leave because I kept mulliganing because I kept getting like 4 engage. Can't use those, by the way.
I had
Or
Mulligan
like
twice,
3
I
or
think.
4 Penk, and I'm like, that guy's also limit 1, and I've already got one. He was a fucking common. That's not good. Yeah, like
I mean,
my,
Hero's
my,
Revenge was rough for me. 'cause
my secret rare slots were all just repeats of cards that are banned or limit 1, and I'm like,
There's
I
a lot of
can't
cards I
use
needed out of
these.
Hero's Revenge. Because, spoiler, it introduced 2 archetypes that I want to eventually play.
It's very bad for introducing archetypes, yes.
But
Luckily, I can get you some stuff for Conductor later when we leave
right,
off.
this reminded me of a thing because looking at Starfires, I made me think of like, honestly, for Calamity, I kind of wish instead of like the rocket launcher, they gave her like just 7 different guns and she just had them strapped
Or
on.
just
like,
a
All right,
normal
well,
rocket
all right,
launcher.
anyway. I don't feel how that's relevant right now.
Your Honor,
Zakiel.
Robbins?
Right, that's all. Right, that's all the guns.
Yeah,
anyways.
no, that's it.
Yeah,
All the
that's
guns
it.
are-
I like Zakiel's design a lot.
He's
It's
cool.
a very
I
So
wish he
classic
was
Zakiel
playing.
has a subtitle. He is the magical musketeer mastermind, Zakiel.
Yeah.
Okay, those are just bolters.
No, those are just bolters, yes.
But they're the fancier version of Casper's guns, but those are actually.
Well, yeah, they're not fancier. They're literally Kaspar's gun.
They're just gold.
The eyeballs are a little more under control, and they're goldy.
I
Yeah,
thought
that's
it
cool.
more had like an extra bit at the bottom, like there's an extra.
No.
button.
No, Caspar had that. It's
No.
just harder to tell because he was holding it down facing.
Oh, okay.
Now, Zachiel's
No.
pretty good. He's got his, like, skull mask. He's obviously a demon man.
It's almost like he's dressed for his opera performance. It's
Well,
so
he's
cool.
a very Faustian demon, and he is presenting that very well.
He's got his big long coat. I actually like all the little
He's got his
extra
wings.
weird lines of red. Yes, his wings are
Yeah,
everybody's
I mean,
cloaks.
introduce
Also, I think
myself.
he's just got bones. I don't think he's got flesh. He's just got bone, like flesh. Like
And
sucking
nope,
on his
he
bone.
definitely has flesh. That's not how bones work, Axe.
Okay. His chest it looks like his chest looks like you just see his like flesh like hugging his ribs.
No, that's
Yes,
a tuxedo.
He's no, I mean, if it is a tuxedo, it's very elastic because I'll zoom and enhance.
Because it's like
I think that's a tuxedo.
I think it's a little like it looks like it's kind of fused to his body because like
No,
He's-
because look, he has a collar.
oh no, it's the demon thing of where you're
No, he has
he
a
does
collar.
have a
He
collar.
has-
Yes, he does have a collar, Dallas, but also like literally like the skin tone is basically the same between his exposed neck and
oh no,
like,
I get
his
it.
ribs.
It's the demon thing of
Yeah.
because it's his guns. It's his
yes, he's
undersuit is
fused.
meshing to his flesh.
That's what I
Yeah.
said. That's literally what came out of my mouth before Dallas told me I was wrong.
I still think you're wrong, and I still think Axe is wrong, but we can agree to disagree.
So I will say the thigh high like things like that make sense because like, they're like riding.
But Axe is more wrong than you.
Okay. I just didn't explain it well.
I just think it's a tuxedo.
Yeah, but I think it's merged to his body.
Like, yes, no, I think he's a skinny motherfucker.
Yeah, it's not literally. Well, I picked a darker shade. Maybe
I mean, you
should
grabbed
pick
his
a
neck
different
bone
one.
for that.
Yeah, it's sort of hard to tell.
That's
It's hard to
okay.
tell. I mean, you could be right.
He's got
I
a
just
lot of
my
grays.
immediate.
It's
My immediate
not
decision
exactly
is-
pixel perfect, but as you saw from me doing the eye picker tool, like they're very similar gray shades. If
Yeah.
it isn't his ribs, it's drawn weirdly form-fitting and rib bulgy to make it look
Oh,
like
no.
it's his exposed ribs.
He is definitely a male model. Like, he's got a bad case of anorexia.
He's got thick arms, or I think it's just a puffy coat.
I mean, I don't know. His hands are also kind of huge, but they're also kind of bony. It's weird. He's like
I think
You've-
he has just big hands. I think
you've
he
heard
just
of
has
you've
big
heard of
hands.
strong fat. What about
This is
skinny
skin-
strong?
This is strong.
Actually,
this is strong.
wait, no. What if it's just like
Strong bones.
okay? Here's the weirdest thing. Considering what I'm more imagining the weird thing of like all of the gunslingers that have the demon guns slowly become basically like him.
Well, yes,
But
probably.
they don't.
Well, because, like,
I mean, they're
It's-
kind
it's
of in the
same
middle
kind
of
of
that
like it's the
transformation,
same like it's the same like skin warping thing of like your clothing goes to
well,
your
no,
body
because
and like, the same
fucking
kind of
Max looked like fucking Nightmare.
like I know, but I'm more thinking about the other ones. But yeah, fair.
It's true. Max does have a different hand design than a lot of the rest of the guys do. That is a little weird
That's
now that we've
true.
gotten this far.
Well, he's later, so
Yeah, but then why? They had the perfect guides. Anyway, Zachiel, good.
Yeah, no, art-wise, great.
I like what they're going for here.
Effect-wise, I like him.
what would you call the basically the leather coverage over your legs if you were going riding or like boat cycling?
Leggings.
Okay.
Leggings or chaps, by
called
the way.
or
That's what
chaps.
chaps
I
are.
guess chaps.
Yeah,
I guess
he's got
it's
riding
chaps.
chaps on. They are
Yeah.
assless. He's just wearing pants.
Yeah, no, he is wearing the traditional WWE style assless chaps, but with a
With pants,
Pants
as you're
on.
supposed to do. You're
Yeah.
not supposed to wear the assless chaps and nothing, barring a certain context. You're supposed to wear them over your trousers so that your trousers don't get beat up. But yeah, no,
Also,
he's
his-
wearing some riding gear and some fancy pants stuff. He's
This
good.
guy looks like he's ready to go into an opera, and then shoot it up.
Or
No,
a bank
he's
or
good.
whatever.
yeah.
Anyway, Zachiel, he's your big boy. There's a reason why Max said level 8 or lower. He is a level 8 light fiend. He is 25/25. You can tribute summon him by tributing one magical musket monster. During either player's turn, you can activate from your hand. Once per turn, during your opponent's end phase, draw equal to the number of magical musket spell traps you've activated while he's been on the field. You only use this effect once per turn. So Zachiel
So this card
reloads
is the
your bullets.
greediest. Yeah, this is the greediest motherfucking card in the entire archetype,
Which is very
and
fitting.
It's probably not good, but I love running it because it's greedy.
No,
Well, yeah,
yeah,
it's
like-
it's
it's so
clearly
on
the
brand.
gross overconfidence. Like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
I'm gonna summon Zachiel. I'm gonna activate like my
No.
whole hand worth of spell traps, and I'm gonna draw 5 cards in your end phase.
No, Yeah, no. 90% of the time, this does not work. But that one game when it works feels so good.
It's like
it's a
you wanna
terrible
make the deals
shame that
that way?
Loth has decided to be a big baby and leave. Because I want to mention, for some ungodly reason, just like Final Fantasy 14 meme videos have been in my feed lately.
Oh my god, yeah, right.
I
It
think
looks
was
like
Lucky
the
watching
fucking,
it on the account by accident.
the fucking new
Possibly,
class. The
Reaper, but also I watched a video by a guy named Pint. Dallas might actually know him because he used to do WoW videos. He did
Oh,
the
I do
10,000
know
hours
Pint.
as a mage. He did a Final Fantasy 14 version of that video, which is 10,000 hours as Black Mage, and talks about how Black Mage has a really low skill floor but a really high skill ceiling, or has a high floor, I guess, normally. It's
No.
playing Black Mage requires you to brain meat, but when you're good, you're really good. Zachiel is like that. If you're just like, Zachiel go burr, you're probably going to get clowned on because this guy's a big asshole who doesn't have any protection
And
other
you
than
g-
your spell
and
traps.
You only have destruction protection, and you have to be focusing fire targeted protection.
No.
But if you
think
get it to
Zachiel
work
can
correctly, you're like, "Wachoo, draw 5 cards, bitch." And at least
No,
he does have
'cause-
the activate from your hand effect, so like he sets that part up.
Yeah.
There are some times where
Thi-
bosses get weird.
I feel like this,
You have bullets
this
in your
card
gun to fight.
needs a line of fixing text that could make this card so much more usable.
What you thinking about?
So to fix it so it's not broken, I have to add this part at the beginning, which is activate this effect only if you activate a magical musketeer spell trap. But then just change the wording to draw
Draw a
one
card.
for each spell trap you activated that turn.
Yeah.
Because
It is on your opponent's. It's during your opponent's
turn.
turn, so it's hard for you to
Yeah.
recycle. But you do play regular quick plays and stuff.
No,
and
yeah.
traps.
Spoiler: Magical Musketeer is usually a main decker of Called by the Grave and Dark Ruler No More, and Triple Tactics talents generally.
No, well, I mean, I would
actually-
say this. I would like to remind you, you can't do those and proc Zachiel anyway, because it's only during your opponent's end phase.
They could also change it to be just every card you activated from your hand. Every spell trap you activated from
Well,
your
no,
hand.
it's during your opponent's turn is the requirement.
Once per turn during your opponent's end phase, draw cards equal to the number of magical musket spell trap cards you activated this turn, while this card was face up on your field.
Yeah, so it's only during your opponent's turn.
Yes. So
Can't you activate Triple Tactics during your opponent's turn?
no, triple tactics only works if your opponent does
Oh,
something
right,
on
it's
your turn.
right. Never mind. Okay.
You can
But Called by the
pulverize
Grave does
depending.
work.
That does work. That
And
is a quick play.
I generally run a build of magical muskets that uses super poly personally.
That's decent.
Because there's some fun stuff you can do with that.
That's a decent choice. Yeah, Super Poly's a good one. It does do your graveyard stuff. It.
Uh,
I can see why, but I think honestly it's fine as it is. And the main thing is just
Yeah.
he's a big bungus who you cannot necessarily normal summon in the deck until I think Max.
I'll
'cause
also
Starfire
tell you
says
another
4s
reason
or
I
lower.
think Calamity Jane personally is not a great card.
It's only level
and
4 lowers.
Wild. No, because if you don't run either of them, Magical Musketeers generally don't care about the graveyard, so it gives you the opportunity to run a lot of Grave Hate cards, which against a lot of meta decks is very good. Like consistently, there's always at least one. I feel like I might be wrong, but it feels like there's always at least one meta deck that is graveyard. If you fuck their graveyard, they just die.
It is a pretty common quality. That's why
So like you can
plays
main
it.
deck Dimensional Shifter and just go.
I know it's a bit.
It's-
I know we probably already said it, but I want everybody to hear. I love how thematic this guy is. Like he's the most greedy effect fucking ever.
Well,
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
no, this is
it's
the-
absolutely like the hey, how many spell traps can you activate? Are you gonna get through all your bullets? Do it.
This is the definition of a win more card in a good way.
Yeah.
but-
Hey, so
And then
speaking
for the
So we're switching to the spell traps. We'll probably speed
Okay,
run
it's
these a little
Persona 3.
faster. Yeah. So
Surprised
talking
some of
about
them,
how
like,
I think Max looks a lot better in a context. Dead on, I think this is better because like there's the
Oh, yeah.
emphasis on the gun forward. You can see the eyes and a lot more other details.
This is one of my favorite arts, honestly.
Max
That's
looks
a
like
good
he's
one.
undergoing inner turmoil, and also
He's transforming.
Zachiel is doing the thing in his, like whether it's just literally shoot yourself or shoot your girlfriend, which is the actual plot of the free shooter, or whatever.
Unfortunately, this card is not very good.
Crooked
Honestly,
Crown? It's I mean, it deliberately says you can only control one, so it's a weird one.
It's so mid because
it's an okay
It-
card.
It does. It special summons a magical musket from
Yes.
hand, which can be
During the
good
main
with
phase.
Zachiel.
And then-
but then it does a column lock,
Yeah,
which has never been very
ground
good.
collapses. If your opponent's main monsters on that monster's current column is unused, that zone can't be used until the end of this turn, even if that card leaves the field.
Yeah. And it does say main monster zone, so you can't fuck
Yeah,
their
Yeah,
next-
you can't.
If it
Which is
didn't
like-
say main monster zone, this card would be awesome.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like it should have been. Yeah, then it works. Then you
Well,
lock
but
the
remember,
regime.
this was still Dark Neostorm's still MR4, so that would
Right,
literally
yeah,
that would
this
have
card would be
actually
banned.
been overpowered.
If it was
Like,
MR4,
would-
they'd
This
do
card
it.
would have been
In-
banned right away
Yeah.
and would have only just come back like this year.
In MR5, I think that effect would be okay. In MR4, there's no way they would have made that.
It's
Yeah.
sad that they can't errata
It just
it.
wouldn't
'cause I
work.
feel like if
Well,
they
no,
could, they
I mean,
would.
also that's stupid. Why errata it? Do a new card that does it better.
Yeah, just make a
Fair,
new card
yeah.
that does the same thing.
Make it-
Like,
make it a quick
listen,
play.
guys, I understand errataing certain iconic cards, or like there are cards
no,
that they really
generally
could errata
the-
to fix, but like Yu-Gi-Oh
You know,
could just print new cards that do that
no,
thing but better.
Honestly, I think errata should only be used, or generally, I think errata
So-
either needs to be used for PCST or fixing broken cards.
Yes,
So I
and,
have,
and
I
like
have a question.
as
about,
as
like,
a
the play.
paper game, you got to be careful with like excessive errataing because then nobody knows what the fuck a card does, and that's just
So I have a
troublesome.
question about Ferichutz.
Yeah.
Your first shoots?
I don't understand.
the
Okay, I'm sorry.
Ferichutz.
The Ferichutz.
I mean, I'm probably not saying the umlaut right, but that's okay.
What's the name of of Max's lover?
Agate? Or is it
Could they
Agate?
make a Link 2 that's Agate?
Probably.
Possible.
That they
I
could.
feel like-
I mean, there's a lot of room. Like we said, only 2 of these guys are actually.
I just want them to make a Wyatt Earp card because I think Wyatt Earp's an interesting
I mean, that's
character.
also just magical musket Erp.
Erp, and then Agate could be a 2, which I feel like you could use for Bay protection or something. I don't know.
Or
I
if
mean,
you want to be...
that'd be a pretty basic. I mean, it's a little basic
This-
bitch, but that'd be a pretty.
this
good
might
Link 2
confuse
effect.
No,
people.
but I'm thinking the idea is that it's her, but she's already been shot.
This might confuse people, but you could do Magical Musketeer Ringo.
Yeah,
Where people will think it's the Beetle, but Johnny Ringo.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying
Spoilers,
there's
the
a lot
person
of
who
there's a lot of free room because there's a lot of like
so
Wild West
the
characters.
the roles, the main roles in the free shooter are you have Ottokar, the Sovereign Prince, who's a baritone. Kuno, it's Agatha. There you go, Agatha. Or Agathe, German. Fuck you.
It probably
Anyway,
spells it out.
Agatha. The Yu-Gi-Oh card would be Agatha because it's
Agatha.
goofy.
Yeah.
Anyway, Kuno is the Forester, so that's Max's boss and Agatha's father. Agatha, his daughter. Anchen, his young relative. Kaspar is the first assistant Forester. So he's not his rival, because that's Ottokar and Killian, but Kaspar is kind of like
His
a
coworker?
guy who's and I believe Kaspar is kind of in his way to like his ambitions. I think he gets like accidentally plugged. The Black Huntsman is Samiel, not Sam
Yeah,
but
Samiel.
Sam-E-L.
Yeah,
It's spelled slightly
Samiel,
different,
sorry.
but yeah. Who, by the way, this is a fun fact that I love about the opera. That's a cool fact. He does not sing ever. His lines are only spoken.
Which I think adds some weight, honestly.
Yeah, it's a
other
neat
fun,
little fact.
other fun fact: the character in Helsing is actually based off of Samiel.
There is a Hermit, Killian, 4 bridesmaids plus background characters. So you could do like a magical musket prince, or Ottokar, like as the senior forester, or like I said, you could do Agatha.
You like turned away for a bit there, but
Sorry,
like,
I
yeah,
linked
get
down.
I mean,
Um,
Samiel is already in the.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure
yeah,
that's
you could,
Zachiel.
but I was saying Kuno is like the Max's boss could be a thing.
I
think
feel like
the
you could
Agatha
take
as
the-
like the Isolde type equivalent of like, all right, Link 2, do a thing. And also, like I said, I was gonna say earlier, it would be incredibly basic bitch of a Link 2, but you could do the easy thing of like, hey, magical musket monsters this points to can't be destroyed by battle or your opponent's card effects or something.
or can't be targeted actually because you have a destruction protection already.
I mean, targeting is kind of more annoying.
True,
don't know
but
if
they don't
they
have a way to
need
not
it.
be bounced or just banished.
Well,
Yeah, but-
Axe, they need to. I'll say this: decks should not be bulletproof. I know some people have this like thing going on about, ooh, when you mean a deck is balanced or interactive, it's bad. That's not always true. Sometimes that's true.
No,
But like,
it's-
I
I've used
think
the card
decks
where it's like
should be
people-
balanced and interactive and should
It's
not
just
be
that-
bulletproof.
I'm used to people only doing like I'm just used to most decks only using bounce or banish for the removal, not
here's the
actual
thing:
destruction.
decks
not
need to.
true.
Well, that's because untargetable is very prominent right
Also,
now.
honestly, I don't know. Axe has probably played more Master Duel than I have at this point, but that's not
I've played more Master Duel than
generally.
both of you.
Definitely, I know that for sure.
Yeah.
That is not necessarily true. Still,
No, generally the
'Cause
method of removal of choice is effect negation then
Like,
removal.
yes, negate then remove or
Yeah.
tribute.
Forbidden droplets and or
Dark Ruler,
no more.
yeah. Droplet, Dark Ruler to negate them. And
The
then you
point
blow
is,
them up
is
anyway.
I could see a theme of like them adding a bunch more magical musket
Well,
links,
not a bunch more.
or like
Regar-
I like 2 to 3 or something.
Regardless,
like 2, like 3.
I think
like
Yu-Gi-Oh needs to be depowered. Instead of bringing everything up to the current level, we need to bring everything down.
Well, and I've
But
heard
that's just
some.
my
I've
opinion.
heard some emphasis that like this is why cards like decks like Splight and Tier are going the direction they are. Like obviously those are high power decks, but they are kind of like plateauing the meta and are going to take pile decks kind of out of the rotation. Is the theory? Because that is something that in the previous format
yes,
was
but
running wild. Was there were a lot of fucking bullshit 60
No,
card
I
engine decks.
understand, and I agree with that. But also that if you keep powering up, that continues the problem.
Well,
because
I mean, the thing will be, there'll be a spike in power, and then in 4 to 6 months, Total get banned, Talc might get banned, and then they'll be like, okay, Sprite doesn't do anything anymore. Tier will not go bad because the stuff that makes Tier really degenerate, the Exchange of Spirit stuff, isn't coming out until the holiday season for the TCG. So Tier Laments is going to have a weird tail in the TCG.
Tier elements honestly might go the way of whatchamacallit.
Like, I think a
Why is my
mostly
brain breaking?
pure
Adamantipator.
Yeah, a mostly pure Tier build is okay and can certainly interact with Splight. The main thing that's going to be a weird anti-meta pick is Exorcister is good now, but only because
Tier elements and Splight are good.
they're both graveyard decks. So and Exorcister they do get a really important piece of tech in Power of the Elements. By the way, ordered my box.
I just think that Yu-Gi-Oh has the power level is too high.
Yeah,
that's
fair.
just my personal
It is
opinion.
it is like
I
kind
mean,
of
I'll
gone.
say,
It
I
has
think
crept every
the-
format change.
I think the power card level is too high. I think, like,
Well, yeah.
we've talked about the cost levels. Like, I think Konami really needs to get serious about reprinting certain.
Yes.
Like, there should be a common reprint of Evenly Matched somewhere.
Well,
There
it's
should
one of
be,
those-
some more reprints of Teekboo. There should be more cards that are like Evenly Matched in Teekboo. Cards not like Mystic Mine, where you can one-sidedly activate them to win, but cards that truly let you, like, get your opponent on black. Like,
How many printings have Nibiru had?
It's one of the
Only a
quite a few
couple.
actually.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
though that's
they've
another
been
thing. Power of
widely
the Elements is
available.
about to come out with the reverse Nibiru. I can't remember her real.
Regardless, I think the biggest problem is that Yu-Gi-Oh wants to be a format that doesn't involve rotation. But if you really look at it, Yu-Gi-Oh has a rotating format anyway. It's just unofficial.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
via.
I mean,
It's via format scaling.
I'll say that Dallas, that is just game design.
Well,
That
yeah.
like the unfortunate nature of humans is that if you give humans like a grid square of optimal selections, it doesn't matter if there are just okay selections. Humans will isolate what's most optimal and do that.
Well, no, but I'm saying that is the fact that it is unofficial is the problem, because you have all of the problems of having a rotational format without the rotational format ability to.
Yeah. Some of them,
Okay, this format was
Bit
way too
condensed.
high. No, do what Magic does a lot of times. All right, guys, we may have fucked up, and this format was way too powerful. We're gonna just tone things down.
I mean, Konami still does do that, but you are correct. The way they do that is they do slaughterhouse ban lists. They're
Yeah.
like, all right, okay, we're putting 12 cards on the Forbidden and Limitless now. Fuck you. We are completely changing the format. We are gonna ban all the high power cards that make those decks bullshit, and we're gonna start over. And part of it has to do with when they do ban lists versus when new sets come out. Like, I don't know when our next.
They don't do ban
lists
lists often enough. I'll say that.
Yeah, I think they've fallen out of. Well, part of the reason I don't think in the last couple of years they have done is because supply chains are fucked. Like
So Metal
every
Gear.
single product Konami has tried to release in like the past 3 years has been delayed by like at least a month. It's real
true.
weird and bullshit, and like it's unfortunate, but Yu-Gi-Oh is kind of held hostage by this fact because like I think they wanted. I'm pretty sure. What is it? The Valiant's Labyrinth Runic set. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. Whatever that set is, that's supposed to come out before Power of the Elements. It's not coming out before Power of the Elements. So, like, things are just weird because of what's delayed and what's available. Anyway, we should move on to...
Yeah, we should.
Yeah,
we
Speed
should
Duel
start,
has a lot of delays. Let's do our next one, because there are only 7 of
sets
these.
of 2 or 3. Yeah, like 2, 3.
No. How would we do that?
Axe just wants to rush everything.
I don't know why he wants to rush, because this is his archetype. Right, I already got it out. I need the art. That's right. I'm dumb.
More because I thought you wanted
he,
to.
he just
I
wanted
was
to.
referencing-
No. Oh my god, it's easy. He just wanted to win. He didn't actually want to do this.
No, I did. It's just that it became more about you guys.
Well, I'm not. I mean, I don't. I'm telling you that would not improve the experience if we put 2 or 3 on the screen. That just means
That's
I have
fair.
to work twice as hard to do the talking about them.
I
This
understand.
is cross domination, by the way.
I actually like this art. I know it's probably.
Yeah,
but I
no,
like
it's
it.
It's okay.
fine.
Hey, it
It's-
shows you that the thing is his glove.
Gave him an extra gun.
Oh, his fucking arm is an actual gun. Okay.
Yeah, his arms
Ah,
are
I see.
gone.
Loth came back after I talked about Final Fantasy 14 meme videos,
Oh, I didn't
thus
even know.
missing it. Yes, I know
Exactly.
you didn't know. You left. I talked about
But
that.
also, he has an arm gun.
But since
Oh
Jonathan
yeah,
came
it's his
back, I just pushed
transforming
the
robot
boost.
hand. It turned into a gun.
Why?
Yeah,
It's,
it's okay. It's very
also, you
steampunk.
can see the wing is now like more like a
I
like a
literally
flag. gun.
just said that. Oh my god.
I'll be honest. I think most of the spell traps are just kind of
Here-
mid.
Honestly, the way I see it, if his hand is a gun, it's just like this deal is getting worse all the time. It just gets progressively worse.
Yeah. No,
I wonder
being
how that
honest,
works with the
I,
demonic transformation. But anyway, it's.
I do think most of these are actually just mid.
I mean, yeah, we're talking about them because they're so important to this archetype, and they do sometimes offer you better angles of the characters, but most of them are just, hey, X character shoots his guns.
No, this card is ludicrous and an easy 3-of in the game.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Let's just
I-
say what it does. Cross domination is a quick play. If you control a magical musket monster, target one monster face up on the field, make its attack def 0 for the end of this turn, and negate it. You can only activate cross domination once per turn. But yeah, no, this is fucking rad.
Yeah, it's a attack negate or it's a stat negate and a fucking forbidden
And because
chalice.
it's a quick play, you can activate from your hand.
Yeah,
You
no.
can use it as a battle trick or as basically effect veiler.
Yeah, no, this card is easy 3-of for me.
Also, you can make sure because you activate your hand, you still have to put it on the board. So you still proc one of your muskets.
Well, yes, but that was a given, X. When you activate a spell trap in the column, that's already known. And to be fair, you don't have to do that. Cross Domination is already a quick play spell card. It's just that means that your opponent cannot, I don't know, special summon Link Slayer and start pitching cards. Or do what the Cyber Deck loves to do, which is in draw phase, draw MST, activate MST, when your opponent doesn't have any monsters on board.
Yeah, it's
the-
very mid art-wise, but this effect is
Yeah,
great.
I mean, it's I don't know why it's called Cross Dominator or Cross Domination in English, because he's doing a crossfire. That's what he's doing. He's firing 2 times away.
I think it's because they don't refer to the actual shooting of guns.
But
That's
you'll get
stupid.
caught up in the crossfire.
Eh. I would say I think it's a better actual angle for like.
No, it's
Like,
Kid
keep
was already
it-
fine.
Yeah. All right, next one.
Sorry, Christ. I tabbed over to the Discord and stuff, and just there's like a
Are we doing the dumb one or the really dumb-looking one?
there's a
to
5-minute
guess.
conversation going on. The spell traps are alphabetical, so this one's a little weird. It's Dancing Needle.
Oh no, this one's pretty cool.
That one's
I
actually
like
kind
this
of
one.
you can use. This
I
one.
mean, have you seen it up close?
Yes,
It's a little
I
weird.
have.
Starfire?
It's weird, but I like it.
Yeah,
Oh,
this is
Oh, she's just
Starfire.
covered in them. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
You
they're
couldn't
Derringers.
see from her, obviously, because that's what the skirt is for. But she also has back guns and shoulder holsters. Like, every veil hides a gun. So Dancing Needle is just, she fires all of her guns at once and explodes into space.
Okay, they're also
Yeah.
two-shot damagers, so that's
No,
the difference.
This is a just fan all of the hammers everywhere.
She,
I love this.
yeah,
You
she
can
dumps
see
all
the-
the guns and throws them away.
You can see on the right it is a two-shot damager, so that's cool. At least.
This is unload all barrels.
Fire all your guns at once and explode into space. God damn it.
It's fucking
I
cool.
love this art.
Also, you can see the wings actually attached to her belt.
Yeah, well, I mean, I figured it was behind her. The main thing is just that this involves anime after images. It's okay.
Yeah. I mean, it gets the point across.
Yes.
I think she's cool. I think.
Oh, I mean, as we said, Starfire is a great design.
Trust
and this,
me.
this only adds to it.
This is definitely one of the, in my opinion, better designed spell traps, because we'll get into some of the other.
Yeah.
This is definitely a one of, and usually, in my case, two in the side.
The same here.
Yeah,
actually.
because
It's
this, I mean,
depending on the deck, it
this
matters
is
more.
basically your deck's DD Crow / soul release type card. It is a normal trap. If you control a magic musket, target up to 3 cards in the graveyards, banish them. So this is the, hey, your opponent's doing something in the graveyard and you don't want them to do that.
Yeah.
It is
run
up
a-
to 3, thank God.
I run a large.
Go.
I run a large grave hate package, so I'm probably overkilling it
So-
a bit, but I still do run this.
It's not a counter trap. You can't run it like a quick play spell, but you can still play it from hand.
Well,
so you
yeah.
can still run it like a normal trap.
I mean, you can't do it. You can't do it in response to something that's a quick play, but you can still, if you're or a counter trap, I should say. But you can still activate it from your hand because it's still a trap card. So.
But you can also just set it and activate it in response.
But again, Dallas, the problem is, like I said, is what happens when your opponent draws Cosmic Cycle or Twin Twisters in their draw phase, and those are quick plays, and they're just like, fuck your back row. I don't have any graveyard yet. Yeah, I know. But that's why Magical Musket, the hand is often safe. But yes, this just lets you go, I see you're trying to target a card in the graveyard. What if it wasn't there?
There's an unfortunate reason why this card is not run at 3.
What's up?
A card called by the grave exists.
True. Called by also negates.
Yes, but you
and
can't
I'll say
draw
this.
off Ezekiel with it.
But you can
Don't.
activate literally every other.
True.
And even as someone who runs Zakiel, even I'm not that greedy.
I know.
Well, and also here's the issue. If you, I'm trying to wonder if you like activate in hand trap in response to a summon. Does that allow you to chain the hands with the continuous effect to activate from hand?
I think so.
Because if it's not like a higher speed, if it's not higher like
yeah,
dex
okay.
speed,
So
it
it would
should be
like
able
if you
to.
on summon effect proc and then your opponent hand traps. But more importantly, the thing is that on your
This doesn't
turn,
negate.
yeah, it doesn't negate. It just if your opponent activates Ash on like your link into Max and you cry, this doesn't do anything about that. Whereas
No, I
Called
will
by
say this does actually hit a very unique niche that is
Loft,
very
post that
important
Called by
in certain
with Ash Blossom.
in certain
I know you've got
matchups. That is very important because it does say cards. So if you have spell traps engraved that are important, which do exist,
Yes.
like this card is killer in a Shadal matchup because you can just banish their Shadal fusions and
Yeah.
cry.
Shadals don't like when they can't access their fusions again.
No, if they don't have fusion spell or invoked is another good one.
Yeah. Hey,
There's
guess
Some
what?
banish covers, though.
No. Invocation
banish
doesn't recover itself from banish. Invocation only
No.
recovers an Alistair who is banished.
No, if you
It
banish
needs
the
to be in the
invocation,
graveyard.
they die.
Yes. If you ban, that's how you stop the invocation loop. Is you DD Crow or in this case,
Yeah,
Dancing
no, so
Needle,
this-
like that.
That's why I'm like I usually run it 1 in main deck, 3 inside,
Yeah.
or sometimes or 2
Nice.
inside, or sometimes I
Loft
run
found the-
2 inside,
found the
no in
new
main
image I
deck.
was thinking of. Yeah.
There's actually
so
a few of them.
I mean, it's because that the Ghost Girls and I guess Maxi are like the number one called by catchers.
I mean, that's because it's houses.
I mean, I will say I do kind of understand in some context why some people might not like called by. We've seen it ourselves.
that's the
You
one.
can activate called by in a really cunty way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
but
testing a
also-
deck I want to test against real people, where it was a couple turns into the game, and I've been having a very bad run because the Salamangreat AI was just drawing its back row. And they called by my starter that I'd already tried to activate in my grave that was already ashed and negated the first time when I summoned it a second time, and that ate my normal summon too, and I'm just like, wow. I can see why some people don't like called by. You can use it in a really annoying way.
But the problem is, if we ban called by, I literally just have to look at each of those cards and I'm like, okay, you get banned and you get banned.
I mean, Dallas, I don't think you have to ban Spooky Dogwood because
That's
one, I don't know if
very
anybody
true.
got
You
one, and
do
two,
not know
I don't know if
how to
anybody
play
knows
her.
what Spooky Dogwood does.
I have it, and it
points
just says,
based off your
hey,
opponent's
gain
specials.
life points on how many summons. Otherwise, they just get half for life points.
Which is like basically you basically tempt your opponent with having your life points, be like, just don't summon anything.
I mean, but isn't it a quick effect? So you just pitch it when your
Yes.
opponent's already.
You quick effect, and then and then it just lasts the entire turn.
I think if they activate fusion, you just use Dogburn and be like, well, I'll at least get 2,500.
I feel like Spooky Dogwood is a card that is good is good against exactly decks like B Trooper that summon 50 billion times in one turn.
So this is Desperado.
I hate this art.
So this does show the thing I was talking about, though I didn't realize that the fifth thing on top is also that. Also,
Yeah.
I guess, Axe, you are correct. This gun is even stupider. She does actually need to rest her shoulder back there.
Yeah,
Why the
no.
fuck is the scope way
do
up
that
there?
Because I know Desperado's art.
Yeah, I hate this art so much. It makes the
I mean, I think
It makes the cape look cooler and the hair, but that's it.
I mean, we've always said this. There's nothing wrong with Calamity's Calamity or her ass or her biceps. By the way, look how fucking ripped she is.
Oh yeah, like
no,
she's
yeah.
like ripped. She's like actually
it's the
like
launcher
awesome
that's dumb as
It's the
fuck.
thing.
Yeah.
It's the plasma cannon.
Yeah.
Omega. It looks like the back of one of the ships, like that same class as the Pillow of Autumn.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah, no, it just,
exactly.
It, does just look
It
like
is a Halo
Halo.
spaceship, but demonic.
It looks like it does look like a cathedral ship. That's what it is.
Wait, Omega? Is this just a Spartan laser?
It is kind of a Spartan laser, but dumber.
It's a demonic steampunk version of a Spartan laser.
Which is surprising, because I could talk about the Spartan laser's design.
I mean, the
Oh,
Spartan
boy.
laser is already dumb because it's a solid state laser. It's just a brick.
Just a brick.
But it's a brick that makes enemies dead.
No, Omega, I've got it. It's a Spartan laser and the Halo 1 rocket launcher mixed together because the barrel looks like a Halo 1 rocket launcher.
Oh, don't you dare besmirch the House of Spanker like this.
Dude, no, what are you talking about? The Halo 1 rocket launcher is rad.
Yeah.
Especially when a flood comes around the corner with it in your face.
Dude,
I mean, no. What you do on flood maps is you beat up the floods with shotguns and you just main shotgun.
What are you talking about? There's like 3 viable weapons in Halo 1. The
I just
shotgun, the pistol, and the rocket launcher.
So
Also, we should specify the shotgun is only good against flood up close.
That's
At higher
true.
difficulties, it doesn't do jack shit to plasma shields. That's canon.
Sadly enough, yeah, 8 gauge is not deadly enough, supposedly.
But honestly,
8
in
gauge
Halo,
triple or quadruple aught buckshot doesn't work against plasma shields.
but
That's
it
why
is
the
just
Covenant
metal.
have been kicking our ass for 3
apparently,
games.
apparently,
Oh,
Omega does that.
because our bullets don't do anything to plasma.
The pistol is the fucking finger of God.
Well, Dallas, do you know this fun Halo lore fact? This is ludicrous. The Halo pistol is a 12mm high explosive anti-personnel round.
It's a
a
sniper rifle with
magnum
peck-
exploding bullet. It's not a sniper bullet. It's more like 50 Action Express.
Could you only-
The
could you
sniper
only use it-
rifle is
could you only
a
use it if you're a
weird
Spartan?
14mm.
So here's the thing: 50 cal is 12.7 millimeter.
Yeah,
Yes, it is 12.7
So if
millimeter.
it's 12, yeah.
So
I'm
yeah, then
removing
it's
the
a
decimals
50
because it's
caliber
easier to say.
handgun.
Yeah, it's a 50 cal. No,
Could
we're
you only,
getting
could
that.
you only
It's not.
fire as a Spartan, otherwise you'd break your wrist.
No, everybody uses that.
No.
The main thing that's weird is that somehow that ODSTs are able to suppress it.
I'll say this.
What?
It is my. I'll say this. It's my second favorite pistol in any video game, after the pistol in Saints Row 3.
It's a pretty
Once you get
baller
the
pistol.
explosive ammo, I fucking love that gun.
The Halo shotgun is cool, but have y'all seen the Marathon 2 shotgun?
Oh, the one you can dual wield.
Oh yeah, that's
The
great,
one that's a
but
dual wield lever action that you spin the lever to
I'll say this.
I remember those sequences where it's basically like you get 2 as okay, time to be Doom.
I mean, my personal favorite shotgun is just for feel. Have you ever played Call of Duty World at War?
No, actually.
Okay, the trench gun in that game is so fucking fun to use.
So
Slave
Yeah,
Fire.
it
I had
is.
something I wanted to bring up about the actual art of the card,
Yeah, what's up?
or I guess a thematic thing. It's like I don't know why, but this is always the thing I've always noticed in some like old anime where there's always like a cool female design, but her main gimmick of what she does in the show is just kind of lame. This feels like that, where it's like she's cool design, but her main move of actually like fighting is fucking stupid.
I mean, there are definitely older animes that have problems with female characters. They don't know what to do with them because their editors tell them that girls are icky and boys don't want girls to be cool. That's wrong.
Yeah.
But it's
there's a
it's
joke
one of
here
those
about
weird
how-
it's one of those weird demographic things. But you are kind of right. Calamity does have those vibes where like the writers gave her a rocket launcher because small girl big gun is a trope, but then they were like, shit, she's got a plasma rocket launcher. She can one-shot all the enemies. We have to make her job every fight.
It's like why couldn't it be like Starfire where she just has like multiple different kinds of guns?
Well, it's because they were doing different guns for different people,
I
Anyway,
know she needs exactly this amount of time to set up.
Desperado is a very basic bullshit normal trap. It's just if you control a magic musket, target and destroy a monster on the field. You can only do this once per turn.
You can activate this from your hand, which means you can do a basically quick play prop.
Yes.
Yeah, that's usually how you use it, honestly.
So it's pretty funny. It's a little
it's a
sad that it's
3F.
limited to one per turn.
Yeah.
But
No,
still,
it's a 3F, easy.
this is your opponent summons a monster you don't like. Pop them. Make them go away.
I will say this is arguably the third best card in the archetype.
I will say
being,
cards that ignore targeting you hate.
Well, I mean
Uh,
the thing is, Axe. This is a card that requires skill. Because you can't wait to use Desperado until they've made Borrowload Fuck You Dragon
or Avermax, yeah.
or Cleafort Fuck
Yeah.
You Towers or Fucker Max, whatever.
No.
What you
pop
do is you
Hulk.
wait until your opponent gets the monsters on board, and then you're like, "Hey, cool summon, bro, pop."
You pop Hulk with this,
Yeah.
essentially.
Like when your opponent
Yeah, you have
makes
to-
the
you
guy
have
who
to
sets
pop
up
their
the combo,
combo.
you get him. Like when they make their first link.
No.
Like what I would do, for
Would you
instance, is
pop Oradon with it?
if you made a Solde, I would be like Desperado a Solde.
No, Oradon has protection. You have to pop out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you wait until they make Hulk, and then you're like, yeah, okay. Oh, you're doing the Hulkdon line? Stop that. You have to catch them at the start of the combo, not at the end.
You have to shoot them in the wrist, not the gun. Yeah, okay.
No, you shoot
God,
them
I know
before
what-
they get their gun out, because their
I
gun is
think I
better
know
than
what's
yours.
next, and this is. Oh no. Okay,
No,
there's one in
no.
between.
The next one is when the deal is fiendish,
Yeah, this card is.
I
bad.
which
also want to say that there
has
was
an
a-
interesting art concept behind it. It's interesting what they're
I
going
guess
for
the time
here.
has passed for me to say like the bad joke anyway.
Yes.
Yes. Don't
It
say
was,
the bad joke.
it was about you saying how editors are. Right. I just lost you for it.
Fiendish deal.
This card's
Real.
so bad.
I think art-wise,
It has,
this is
it has the
interesting.
point. It's a better angle for Casper.
Well, yeah, because
That's
you
kind
can't
of
see
it.
a lot of him, and also his coat's closed, I think. It also reveals that his shoulder pauldrons are not asymmetrical, which is good, because I would laugh at him more if
Yes.
they were.
It almost kind of reflects.
Isn't
like,
this
the-
just the cover of Dirge of Cerberus?
Kind of, yeah.
I feel like that's what they were going for.
Like, I'm sorry, I know we're harping off on that, but this literally just looks like.
So
the
the
cover
weirdest
of
thing
Dirge of
is
Cerberus.
that Crooked Crown, which is the latest spell trap that came out relatively, is kind of an improvement based off this one.
I mean, it makes sense, because that has
Yeah.
Zakiel
Max.
and Max on, and this has
Oh,
Zakiel and Casper
I can
on.
really see a thing that it's like Casper and Max shooting at each other. Where
I
they-
mean, I do notice something I didn't know before. So we thought the purple thing on top was where the purple bullet come out. No, the gun like opens up, unhinges at the bottom, and fires out that way, like a fucking psychopath exterminator kind of thing.
Which I kind of like.
Yeah,
it's a demonic gun. It doesn't
it
make normal
makes his
sense,
gun
yeah.
less derpy, I think, to be like.
No, it
oh,
makes more
transforms.
sense.
Yeah.
I would
Okay.
Oh, because
cool.
they open up. That explains the
Yeah.
design. Yeah.
And I think, like, if you look at it like this way, like it's got a little bit at the bottom and a little bit at the top, it's not exactly a railgun, but a lot of guns borrow that aesthetic of like the two bits that kind of prong out. So it's okay.
To use another Halo reference, this is just a plasma pistol.
Yeah,
True.
he's noob comboing you right now.
Honestly, yeah. If I'm
Casper
real,
would
I kind of
combo
wish for the
you,
Casper
little
they showed
fucker.
the gun being open instead of being closed.
Yeah, he's
now,
clearly
unfortunately,
after fire.
this card's effect is poopy doo doo.
So remember we talked about how Crooked Crown was kind of like an oddball because it was a continuous. Phoenix Shield is also a continuous. It's a little weird. Magical muskets you control can't be destroyed by card effects. okay, that's all right.
It's decent.
If this card in your possession is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, add a magical musket to your hand, except Fiendish Steel. You only activate Fiendish Steel once per turn. So
honestly,
this card is,
you run one of because Destruction Protection isn't bad, especially
and you
in
can
certain
search
matchups.
it when you set up, right?
Yeah.
But it's definitely like the fact that it's the only thing it does when your opponent gets rid of it is you search a magic, you add a magic musket card from deck or graveyard, and it's like, okay, cool. I guess that will replace. I mean, I will say you can still activate it from hand. Well, yeah, you can activate it from hand, but the problem is that, like,
continuous effects are actively bad in Magical Musketeers.
Well, yeah,
because they block zones.
They block zones, and your opponent can negate. Even though you can activate this from hand, if your opponent responds and pops this, your fiend. I mean, it doesn't have an active effect, but continuous spells would be negated because they have to stay on the board to finish activating their effects, even if you can like quick play them. It's weird.
This card is like a one of maybe.
I feel like the I usually run it too because I liked having the protection, but I'm bad at it. So, in how I took it is that it's a continuous effect because it's a protection effect, but then they expect your opponent to not be able to like use card based.
Honestly, this card
so that they'd be forced to pop it, so they could then pop non-battle pop you because you'd have battle tricks.
Well, yeah, I believe the idea is normally with Magic Muskets, your opponent just goes, "Cool, Dark Hole," and you're like, "I cry." So Fiendish Steel is like, "Haha, you cannot Dark Hole me," and then your opponent is like, "Cool, Chain MST."
Okay. Yeah, no, this card is very bad.
It's
like it's just bad.
I mean, I like what it's. I like what it's going for. The protection effect you want is good.
No.
The problem that it doesn't do anything else is bad.
Like the problem, no, the biggest problem with it, honestly, is that it's continuous. Because unless you put it up against exactly Zachiel, you're fucking one of your columns. So it's
actually, I feel like if they made it like a counter trap that you could just recycle it.
Well, yeah. What I was gonna say is what they should do is they should just have a trap that is like, you know, when your opponent activates a card effect that would destroy your monster, can't be destroyed for the rest of the turn.
This turn your Magical Musketeers
can't be destroyed by card effects.
Yeah, even if it was just a trap card that did that, it would honestly be better.
Yeah,
it's just the thing is that they
and
also
honestly,
have a negate
it wouldn't
card,
be broken because you can just you can non-destruction removal, you can make them face down, you can do other stuff. And I think it should just say card effects because you already have like 2 battle tricks. You don't need to make them immune to battle destruction as well. If your opponent manages to out cross domination and steady hands the double effect, they deserve it. They deserve the win, buddy.
So maybe
twice.
Can we get to the worst art in the archetype?
Yeah. You mean Last Stand?
Yeah.
Okay, so the problem with Last
Stand.
So
we talking about how wild the Goobus, right?
So, alright, so let me tell you something. Are you guys ready for one of the best cards in the archetype, but the worst art?
No, this is the best card in one of the best. Yeah.
Hey, so I think they didn't want to draw him shooting his missiles. Let me make sure this art isn't censored.
No,
which, by the way, none of these have. I think the guys who made Magic Musket just drew them this way. They drew them like Nerf guns. Yeah, no, he's just an action figure shooting a clear plastic missile.
It's fucking stupid.
This is derpy.
Boy. Yes, Kratos, Bob Marley. Continue.
I mean, no, you said it earlier. Well, it's because he's shirtless, ripped, and has the tribal tattoos. Okay, yes, it's very.
He has
Kratos.
red tribal tattoos. He has pale skin, and he has a 5 o'clock shadow.
I mean,
but you are correct the first time, Dallas. This also is absolutely a Rambo reference. He's doing the Rambo yell while shooting a machine gun.
No. God, I hate this art.
Hey, by the way, to turn this back to Metal Gear Solid 4, by the way, when you use a light machine gun as Old Snake, if you hold it, he does the Rambo yell. Anyway, goodbye. He actually does that in 3 too. It's a recurring reference because Kojima likes movies. Anyway, Last Stand looks dumb.
This art is so bad. This art is so bad.
Also, considering what it does, I'm not sure this... I mean, for a card named Last Stand, this is appropriate. This is Wild is going to get murdered. He's firing all his guns.
Honestly, I kind of wish there was a card if they had Agatha in it, they'd be like her being shot but still surviving, or if they had art of Casper being shot and then surviving would be like a good fit for that card, for the art. Or like that card.
I like how Axe, by the way, was like, we can speed this up by putting 2 cards on screen, and then Axe is like, let me talk about a hypothetical card that's not this card you pulled up on screen.
Yeah.
I said that originally because I thought you said you wanted to like speed run all of them, so I was just going with that momentum.
I mean, I want the show to be organic.
Yeah.
It's also still, by the way, we've got like 2 cards left. We're only at 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh
okay.
yeah, I got.
I was
That's
after like
two-
half an hour of
Okay.
faffing about
Yeah.
Metal Gear.
Okay, so I got at least 2 points less. I can see the whole thing. I'm just like shooting things like forward, but his head is facing the wrong way. So I think he's actually shooting the guns in the air like in a victory pose.
Yeah, there's some weird perspective stuff going on
This
here.
art is awful, and I hate
Yeah.
it.
Which, as Axe said, is a terrible shame because, hey, this is your Omni
Oh,
negate.
it's a mandatory
Well,
3.
you're not Omni
Well,
negate.
it's
This
not
is your
Omni.
Archetype
Best cards.
negate.
You
It's
want three of
your
those.
when your opponent activates a spell trap while you control a magic musket, negate and destroy.
This and cross domination basically form the core of the deck.
When your opponent tries to do a spell trap, fuck you. When your opponent tries to attack you or summons an effect monster you don't like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, and I'll say this, at least, obviously it zeroes out your opponent for the end of the turn, but cross domination is at least not a negate and destroy for monster effects. It does
No.
stop your normal summon, but your guy doesn't go away, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, Last Stand is just, hey, I see you're trying to use a spell trap. No.
And you can literally only use cross domination in a magical musket deck.
Yes, they're all magic musket only. They require you to control
Xenomorph.
magic musket monster.
Honestly, I feel like, because I feel like it's worth talking about. What do you guys? I guess when we're done, I'll ask you guys. What do you think? Like, what cards the
Speak
honestly kinda
English.
needs? Stop. Don't.
He
push it.
didn't do anything. He just told you to speak clearly. Because you weren't making grammatical sense, buddy.
You literally started like.
You started a
You
sentence
started
halfway
talking-
and then
you ever hear this?
switched
Shut
to a
up,
different sentence.
Please, fucking stop. Oh my god.
No. Make me stop.
Okay, not you. I'm just asking Dallas because like fucking hell. Oh.
But I'm backing up Dallas.
Ugh.
I'm Dallas' hype man.
Wait, what? Now just imagine you with the Flavor
Guy.
Flav clock.
God.
Oh boy.
Anyway,
Sound like fucking
the
I
Steady
was
steady
trying
hands.
to ask, being like, once we get through the cards, I'm just curious what things the archetype still kind of needs, because I think it might need a direct monster negate. Is it targeting based, or
Axe, I think you
No,
need
it
to make
hasn't.
less run-on sentences. But also,
oh my, I fucking spoke. I did that clearly. God damn it!
I mean, you
What the
did.
fuck,
It's just
dude?
grammatically,
You
I'm
did.
telling you, you should
You
run
just
on
speak
less.
very fast.
It was one breath because I was stressed. You guys wanted me to like not talk, so it's like, ugh.
No,
we
I
wanted
want you to
speak
talk,
English.
but I want you to make sense when you talk.
I'm trying, but
And
it's
also
like
take
when
a
you guys
pause
give me
breath
shit
and
about
split up your
trying to say
sentences.
anything.
I mean, I don't think,
Ugh.
Axe, you can't say anything about people
Yes.
interrupting
No.
because you are the interrupter, and I think Marth and Loth will eat your bones.
Oh, I know. They
Yeah.
like giving up really easily.
There's like top 3.
Wow,
interrupters
what
in
a
this
little
deck,
bitch you
really.
are. I'm
I
not
also
gonna
am-
talk about that thing you want anymore. I'm gonna talk about Steady Hands. This art is cool.
I'm gonna mute you.
It is a cool art.
I thought he was smoking a cigar. No, he's got a little dock potion. That's cool.
No, I do think Aaron also has this right. Yes, this is the most Metal Gear fucking pose.
This is because
This is an internal
because
sniper
Doc
boss.
is just kind of a guy. He's lining up the shot. It's good.
I
He's got
was
his
making
hands in the
these
right
fucking-
place.
Also, did I legitimately not, like literally for like the 6 attempts I tried to say something, you guys literally didn't understand any of it.
No, I understood what you said. It's just you got really obsessed with things that weren't what I was telling you about. I didn't like your final sentence because you continued it for like 2 sentences. You need to
Because
stop.
Dallas kept saying that
put a
Dallas kept
period in there.
referring to like he couldn't understand anything I was saying, and it's like, dude, I
No,
fucking...
that's not. He's saying you're
I
talking
said
rapidly
that for
and blah blah
literally
blah.
the first time.
Please just try to work with me instead of trying to tell me I'm shit, please, for once.
I am trying to work with you. I need you
literally
to
have
work.
never told you your shit. You're just saying that in your own head.
Steady
Regardless.
Hands is. I talked about it before. I said what its effect is. Its art is good, but it's not.
I mean, it's very mid. Like, I feel like this card is the definition of better than the 2 continuous spells, but not as good as the other spell traps.
I mean,
Yes.
it's just. You can only activate each once per turn. So if your opponent summons more than 1 monster, then you can cross domination. They just punch you in the face. So Steady Hands is
That's
important.
true.
Because
No,
what
but,
Steady
yeah.
Hands does is you take them, you target a magic musket, you double its attack defense till the end of this turn. It can't
No,
attack
I've-
directly, so it's not good for OTK swings in that sense. but it is very good because a lot of your guys are kind of wimpy. But when you double, he is doing kind of a weird sitting position shot. I don't know what he's braced on. But when you activate it, it actually lets you like beat up guys, which is good.
There's a weird thing of how he the doctor's focus lines up with his scope, and he also has the potion gives him a weird aura.
Yeah, I don't know if he's actually. I think he's supposed to be drinking the potion, but it's hard to tell for sure because he's
trying to uncork it with his teeth.
Potion, I also noticed he has a golden eye. That's cool. I'll say this. I'll say this. Somebody mentioned something about a field spell. That is something I think that should replace the continuous traps. Is you should give them a field spell because that doesn't use a zone and doesn't fuck with them. You can still add magical musket, so just make it like magical musket, opera house, magical musket, party time, showtime, whatever. Showtime's probably better.
Dealer den.
Yeah, Gambler's Ruin, Magical Musket, Gambler's Ruin. Whatever you want, you can set up the theme. Axe talked about how there are some Magical Muskets you don't want to draw turn 1. Give it a mulligan effect, let you, tuck Magical Musket cards to draw new cards. And let it give you destruction protection from effects.
As a weird thing of why I've always liked Thunders is that they have an internal archetype mulligan.
I mean, Thunders also have about 5 billion kind. Thunders are very consistent. You don't end with an empty hand on Thunders.
Yu-Gi-Oh needs a mulligan. After having spending the last couple of days playing other card games, God, the worst thing about
I
Yu-Gi-Oh
will say,
is that
I
it
think
doesn't
I
have a
agree.
mulligan
I
roll.
do think. I don't know why they won't. I think
It's the only card game that does it.
Konami should implement a straight up mulligan rule where you can just turn 1. You can draw your hand and just put them at the bottom of your deck. Put them at the bottom of your deck. Replace them.
You can even do a punishment mulligan like what Magic has, which I think is a fairer thing.
Would you get
one
what
is
mulligan
it?
and then punch afterwards?
Put any
one
number
less
of
card.
Yeah, put any number of cards at the bottom of your deck. When
Draw up to 5.
Yeah, draw.
Or in this case, it would be draw to 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be fair, because there's nothing worse than the feeling of opening your hand and going, well, I've lost.
I think it should be you get one mulligan, and then if you have mulligan after that, it is then punishment.
Well, no, that's it. It's one mulligan, but that's the thing.
Yeah.
If you just put them at the bottom of your deck and don't shuffle afterwards, which you should not, because that would be stupid. One, because it would let you redraw cards that are good, but also it would mean you could brick again.
That is unfair. You have to shuffle.
Yeah.
But no, it literally, it's the only card game that doesn't do it because every other card game has realized that drawing a hand and realizing you have lost is the worst feeling in the entire
But that's
world.
kind of why Yu-Gi-Oh keeps adding power cards of why you can search everything in your deck of one every card.
Well, I mean, they don't need though, because that's the thing. He's saying that even with all of Yu-Gi-Oh's ludicrous drawing, searching, setup stuff, you can still play a deck that bricks because your decks need like you just said with Magical Muskets. There's some of your cards that require graveyard setup to do the thing. And this is why you usually run them in less ratios, but what happens if you draw only those cards? Yeah. And you're like, well,
I have done that multiple times.
Shit, I can set a monster pass.
Like, I'll look up, like, Splite. Okay. Splite is the best deck right now. Right? Or it's one of them at least?
Yeah, Sprite will be one of the best decks.
You can, if you draw fucking 3 Blue Jet, fucking 2 Pot of Desires, that's still a bad fucking hand.
Let me look at some Sprite lists.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. I mean, I see all the starters.
I will say a convenient example of this is when I was playing Magical Musket versus ABC, and the only monsters I drew were Calamity, my 2 Calamity I ran. Mm-hmm. So I only drew those
Axe,
2. And then
you don't need to explain the rest of the story. You cut Marth off 3 times, and you're gonna call him a little wimpy bitch baby for it.
Oh no, I just didn't hear Marth. I apologize.
Yeah, about the only mulligan where it doesn't punish you in a card game is Vanguard, because technically they need to have all those cards.
Well, no, a lot of digital card games don't punish you. Like Hearthstone, you get 1 mulligan, but it's free.
That's
you
probably because video games can adjust that.
Yeah, because Vanguard is pretty much just like you need to have 1, 2, or 3, otherwise you can't go. Because essentially it says like, hey, you don't have a grade 2, you can't write a grade 1, you die.
What I was gonna
said that
say was, Axe, you're having a. I know you keep getting your teeth checked. Have you gotten your ears checked lately?
I got them cleaned recently. Yeah.
I think it made it worse.
I also
Tonight
no, I
you
also
have been very bad about hearing people.
Okay, I have First Strike playing in the background the whole time. I'm sorry.
Then
Well, you should have it
don't do
lower.
that.
I've got it at like 20%.
I don't have any movie.
Okay, but I guess I've been suggested to hearing you two guys, which are you're very easy to hear.
Axe, you
Except-
literally told
except
me that you
Omega's, like-
didn't hear me talking.
Except Omega's like opening sentence when he starts talking, it's always like the second sentence onwards easy to hear.
Anyway, I'm looking at a sprite list, and I'm like, yeah, there's some serious bricks in here.
Yeah, you can brick easy.
like-
3 Diva, that's a pretty bad brick.
Yeah, that's bad for you. Actually, like, I mean, obviously it runs, the list I'm looking at, for instance, is they have a gamma and driver list. You can manually draw a driver. That's a hard garnet. That's a bad card.
Like, you could draw Ronin, Tonin, Duke Frog, and 3 of the same starter. That's a very awful hand.
Yeah, you can draw some of those guys. There's some
I-
Wamba Cambos.
I
I
kinda thought
do
Sprite
have
was-
noticed that there's something fucking bullshit about the fact that E-Telly is at 3. What the fuck?
Yeah.
It's
Don't
kind of
think
weird how it's
Italy
like
is going to be at 3 for much longer.
it's the weirdest thing for me. Like I guess what Splice kind of everyone said they were kind of like the pseudo like top invincible deck, but I guess it's still just Flender and.
Well,
No,
also,
Slide
Axe,
is
they
the
haven't
best
come
deck.
out.
Yeah, Spite
They
is
they
the
have
best
the
deck.
the power of the elements format hasn't actually been street legal
I can
yet.
tell you for a fact, Spite is going to be the top of the meta.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyone who says they're not going
It was
to be
80%
is
represented
lying.
in the meta. In,
Okay,
it
I
was
guess it's
in
just-
the OCG.
It's 65.
Real quick.
It was 80% 1 month.
So what did the Japanese Splight decks have stuff that we don't have?
No.
over here
No.
Aside from Maxi? No?
No.
No,
I didn't
yeah,
even know.
Maxi's the only thing.
No, it might be. It might just be the
People are
MBT thing if they
saying-
just
People are
set their
saying
draws.
people are saying it's going to be less powerful because of less Maxi, but that's delusional because that's 3 cards.
I
in the
mean,
deck
it's
and
still a
it doesn't
toad.
matter.
It's
So
still a rank 2
here's-
Toad Turbo deck.
Well, here's the problem, though, is that since the Ishizu stuff is getting stuff, we might be in a tier 0.
Yeah, it might even be worse than the OCG because
Yeah. Well,
tier is
I
gonna be
mean,
bad.
that's the thing though. That like I
Sorry,
said,
Robin. Cope, Steve, be mad about it.
it's I mean, like I said, I've watched MBT do the line. It's
Thank
you
you,
can
Rob.
make tier good against Sprite, but
You
it's definitely
can,
a weird
but-
it's a weird wombo.
Yeah.
You
Like,
also need to do this thing called win the coin flip.
Yeah. So what? Being unfamiliar with those decks in general, just because I haven't had
Okay,
time to pay
let me
attention
rephrase
to
that.
those.
Tier is
What was? Oh,
Oh.
I was gonna say, what was Tier using out of the Ishizu stuff?
It's
And
all
how
the
important was
the
it for
reversal
them?
of exchange of spirit stuff because you mill a lot into your graveyard.
Ah,
And you can
okay.
mill your
Yeah,
opponent's
no, that
cards as
makes
well.
sense.
So yeah, it's you.
You basically you graveyard flip
Yeah.
them with the exchange of spirits, and
Okay.
okay, that makes sense. Why
Okay. I'm trying to
why
find.
they would need a bunch of the Ishizu
old
stuff to make that work?
one. Let me go to the metagame tag. I'm on Road to the King because, I mean, I'll say this. Let's see. That's 04.
That's just
Yeah, I
so we
think
can hear your
that's
typing, just so you know.
Okay, so the initial wave of
don't
Splite was
care.
50%.
Get mad about it. Deal with it.
And then the next wave was 52. I could have sworn I saw one of these fucking Road to the King ones where Splite was like, okay, no, 60. I think it was the 60% one.
Yeah, it's 60%.
It's just that graphic looks way bigger than I remember.
I think it's going to be even worse for a short amount of time in the TCG.
So allow me to demonstrate for people, and we're done, by the way. This is the last card. I will pull up.
I was
these
about to ask,
images.
yeah.
This is it. We'll round out with this because we're having a little bit of a shorter one. So the format before Power of the Elements hit in Japan, you'll notice, by the way, that what we called Mr. Rune back then, but Runic was on that. That's because again the releases are fucked. This is the
I guess
immediately pre-Power of the Elements spread in the OCG. Branded Despia, Flunder, Tenyi, Drytron, Runic, Lyrilusk Tri-Brigade, Adventurer V-Dubs, Branded Eldritch, Tenyi Sword Soul, Therion, and then a bunch of other crap. It's an incredibly diverse meta.
Yeah.
There's so much flexibility, all these pile decks and
And
shit.
then
The extra decks, by the way, some of those extras included shit like Adamantipator, Salamangreat, Marincess, Shaddoll, Skystriker, Evil Twin decks, like crazy shit. Some motherfucker in this list was topping with Hero. Also, Branded Dragonmaid. Holy shit, I should play that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds rad. So, the immediate next metagame report.
Yeah,
80%
it's
Splight.
Splight, Torilla. No,
it's 49.
60% Splight.
No, the very
20%
next
Hero.
one was it was a little slow. It was Splite right away, which is now Sprite, which I think is better.
Yeah.
But 49% and then technically, if you count Sprite Evil Twin as a distinct variant, that's another 7-ish%. So it's about 60 again, like Dallas
I would
said.
say it's distinct enough build. That
Yeah,
I would
it's
count
a different
separately.
build, but still. And then the remainders are just the old Tri-Brigade combos, Therian Skystriker, and Adventurer Branded Despia.
And then you want to get to the really bad one.
Yeah, let me find the 60% one because it's a couple down. It took the meta a little bit to settle in that one for big.
When do you guys go through this? I had like one question about
Yeah, what's up?
Tactical Musket to bring up, but I'll wait for you guys to be
Okay.
on this bit.
So
if you could just yell at me if I try to
here is
say
this is the meta slot we're probably going to skip straight to because we know the meta already.
Yeah.
Splite 60%, Tyralement 12, Exorcister 3.5 as an anti-meta pick, Branded Despia 4.
Yeah.
Like this is what our metagame is going to be probably.
Is Toad,
I think
is
I think
Toad
it'll
like
be a-
limited in the or is it
I'll
free
say
right
this.
now?
I think it'll be a
Yeah,
little
we're
bit
totally
different.
limited for us.
I think it'll
Totally
be
awesome. Okay.
I think it'll be a little bit different just because I think we have access to some stronger tools for certain decks. So I would actually expect
Now I do want to
certain
say
decks to be represented in there.
that other representative does include some weird variants. There was one Eldritch and one Flunder deck in that mix. There
I
were
would
two
expect
Math
Flunder to
Mech
have
decks,
higher
by the way.
represented.
One of
was
which was
so
Code
weird.
Talker Math Mech, which sounds rad.
Yeah, I want to meet that.
There was an
person.
unfortunate deck which literally doesn't work in the TCG, but Dallas would probably love. Grass Punk Emancipator.
No, I mean Grass is at 1
Wait.
in the OG, I believe.
Yeah, but it's still a deck that you can't play in the TCG.
Wait, is that just you mill your deck?
Probably, yeah.
just
But
define
there
specific
were
decks that are
3
gonna-
more
Yeah, that's what
Sprite
have
variants that
comforts.
aren't counted in this list. Sprite Melfi, Sprite Tri-Brigade, that's right, that's a deck, and Sprite Atlantean. But also in there, Invoked Runic, at Ignister, one at Ignister deck, one guy, base.
Okay, Omega, I'll tell you this. It's actually something funny. It's something I hold with pride as an Ignister player. If you look at Road of the King for both the TCG and OCG, it feels like literally every month there's this one Ignister player in both lists. There's only ever one, and he never tops.
And the last
They're
one I want to
small.
bring up, also there were 2
Keep
Sprite Evil Twin, which were there. But there's also one Spiral player in this meta top cut.
Yo!
I mean,
One guy going for it.
if you can get the drone off, it might as well win.
Also,
mean,
by the
well-
way, that 4 elements of Branded Despia is technically incorrect. It's somebody playing Grass Tyralements Branded Despia, or Grass Shaddoll Tyralements Branded Despia, or
also,
yeah.
I'll point out why the TCG is fine to bring fucking Spiral. What's her fucking name?
Master Plan.
Master Plan.
Master Plan and the Field Spell off, because at the OCG they're both at 3, and you see how well Spiral's doing.
Yeah, but they don't play like us.
Do they have different stuff banned in Spiral?
No, quick fix is still at 1 because that needs to be at 1 because it's not a hard once per turn.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that's the only thing that's
Okay,
hits.
interesting. That is kind of weird because like they have access to different tools you associate with those decks.
Is there a thing where
guess
the
they
OCG
could- they
doesn't
could
play?
float it.
Does the OCG play much of like the TC original archetypes as much, or is that just a me discussing?
So it's kind of hit or miss because those usually come out later in
No.
Japan in special packs, but when they do
think that
come
might
out
be
in
why the
Japan,
Spiral
they
are popular.
often get those weird
No, Spiral
supports.
was still a tier 0 deck in the OCG.
Yes, no, Spiral was still good. Because that's the thing I was just saying, was often when those decks get their second waves of support, it's in core sets that go to the OCG first,
Yeah.
and that's when you get busted shit, like Beatrice.
Yeah,
Because
no.
Burning Abyss was a
Spiral-
TCG deck first.
Yeah.
Spiral just got power crept.
Yeah.
It's like OCG is like, hey, what if we make this but better?
Well, that, and like we said, they locked down the quick fix interaction
Well,
because that
yeah.
is not hopped and can cause some shit.
Realistically, there's not much Spiral has in terms of payoff that is too like busted. Because they don't have any in-archetype payoff. Like, you can play some sleeper games, which is fun, but 2 pops is hardly, like, meta-shattering.
I mean,
Like,
I think
I don't know.
the main reason why Marth won that 1 week with Spiral was that he did all the stuff and then also was able to make the boy huge.
Yeah.
He made a large lad, and then
Well, no,
being a large boy sometimes wins in Yu-Gi-Oh!
no, I think Spiral was banned correctly when it was banned
Yeah.
back in the day. It's just, at the current time in the meta, they could unban all those cards and it wouldn't do anything.
So
Yeah, because the OCs
I
are
wanted to
similar
bring up a
ones.
thing from earlier because you like
What's up?
you briefly talking up the idea of having a field magical musket having a field spell. I was just curious, like, since the deck hasn't actually gotten support, I think in like 3-4 years. I
Yeah.
think.
It hasn't been supported since Dark Neostorm.
Yeah, which is 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, that was mid to late 2019.
Yeah, so about 3 years ago. So, if it was any support, what do you think would actually be what you think would fit, or what do you think would be
Hand
the-
fixing.
Yeah, like I said,
Shuffle any amount of Magical Musketeer cards.
Magical
that
Musket
you
reload?
get.
yeah,
or
and
something like that?
Yeah.
well, and I mean that could be it, or you, like I said, you could just make that the field spell effect.
Well, no, that's what I would do. I'd make it do that be the field spell effect. Is
Hand fix and give that the destruction protection that the continuous spells have, just so you don't have to waste the slots. And I mean,
Maybe another link. I
they
guess?
could probably. I mean, yeah, another link might give them something else to do in archetype, and might make link climbing easier. Like if they had a link too.
Maybe something you can do on like going first or something.
Yeah, that's true. Something you can make going first would probably be good, just in case, because you do sometimes lose coin flips. But yeah, that's probably the only thing is they need a going first starter
You
and
mean
they need a
going
field
s-
spell.
yeah.
No, because you can't activate Max if you go first, Dallas.
right.
It requires your opponent to control cards. It does nothing.
Yeah.
Ah,
It's about
gee, I'm going to
equalizing.
special summon all these monsters for all these spell traps you control. Wait.
Remember, it's Sam Colt with a gun. All were equal.
No, I forget.
But I think that it's going to wrap up for the stream. I've already killed the music. We've talked about some fun meta stuff. Look forward to some weird pack openings. Like I said, I opened my set of
Prepare
Power of the
for
Elements. Tier, let's go!
What's up?
Also, maybe Extra Sisters.
I'm here to explain why Dallas is not wrong, but also not very correct.
Okay,
What you got?
I'm listening.
Okay. So I don't. To be clear, I do think Splite is going to be very strong. Toad like 3 times a turn is really stupid. I don't know why anybody thought this was going to be okay.
Yeah.
I
But-
agree.
Toad will be banned.
Splite
should be
ends on
banned.
an end board that is 100% monster effects.
No, I
That
understand.
is their
this.
end board every time. And every single deck you're seeing in pre-testing right now is main decking Dark Ruler no more.
I
Now there are
understand
blow-up
this.
cards versus tier, but there are no blow-up cards being run of main deck versus tier, and tier ends on a lot of interaction with a trap card, a field spell, every graveyard effect in the game.
Also, fun fact,
counterpoint.
Dark Ruler is ludicrously easy to access because they printed it in a structure deck.
Ca-
Thank you, Konami.
counterpoint. There is an easier access card that just kills your element dead.
Which is
Dimension Shifter, which was printed as a common.
No deck is running Dimension Shifter now.
I'm
a
running
lot of
Dimension
decks are
Shifter.
actually.
Are you main decking
No.
Dimension Shifter?
Yes.
You're a piece of
Then
shit. I
again,
hate you.
Well, okay.
What does it do again?
Well, okay, okay.
Is he just a free special?
Dallas, you're only talking about this in Master Duel, right?
No, my Adagnister deck main deck's like 50 hand traps because
God, you
the
are the worst
archetype
person.
doesn't have enough cards. I ran out of cards.
Every deck right now that would run Dimension Shifter is going to lose to their own Dimension Shifter because they need their cards in the graveyard.
Guys, could you
That's
tell
true.
me what? Could you tell me what Dimension Shifter does in like it's
Uh,
it's a free
it's
special.
a
You go cards in
macro-
grave.
No, it's
It's
Macrocosmos for a
Macrocosmos
turn.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a
okay.
hand trap Macrocosmos. It's why he's very
2 times.
popular.
Yeah,
Oh,
but-
because I only ever saw I basically never been able to fully read this text. But I've only saw like if you have no cards in your
But
graveyard, you can special summon from.
I
That's not what
do
people do
think
for him.
we will be better represented in Splite in the TCG because one, we can't do stupid stuff like Max C here because it's a level 2. They just can't. That does matter, I do think. And the other thing
Fuck,
is
what the hell is
the
that?
end boards you can end on in the tier are more varied.
here's the thing. I disagree with you.
Board that
If you're saying Tier is going to be more represented than Splite, I definitely disagree with you. If you're saying Tier is going to be the second most represented deck, I 100% agree with you.
The only way I can see Splite doing better is because the combos are brain dead, drool easy that anybody can do.
Well, no. Also, I just think.
I mean, no. What he's not saying that
Robin,
it's going to win more games. We're saying that Sprite will be played more. There will be more assholes playing Sprite in Top Cut.
What I'm also saying is, you have to draw the Dark Ruler no more, and you can just not.
Are there any good? Oh, we don't know the full context of the next structure. Okay. There is technically a good reprint in the Dark Ruler reprint structure deck, but it's unfortunate. It's skill drain.
It's extremely rare, but there's a funny thing you can do with Tier where you can window on your opponent's first turn. It's coin flip, but it's really dumb that it exists.
Oh.
And that deck doesn't be window.
I'll say this. I'll say this. I think Tier is going to be more represented than it was in the OCG quicker.
Well, yeah, I think it's because people will know it's good because it took a while. It took like a month to creep in before people.
I don't think it's going to be as strong as it was, as it is now in the OCG because it just doesn't have all its cards.
Well, yeah, that's true.
I also think,
but also, Dallas Sprite is less good in the OCG because they rebanned Toad.
Well,
I think Sprite is going to die like a brick once Toad is done.
No, it hasn't died. It hasn't died.
I think it's on life support with Toad right now.
No, it's Tier 2. It's Tier 2.
Yeah, that's stuff.
What is
that's life support compared to what it does with Toad?
What is the latest list? I wanted to bring up just because Konami of America was incredibly based. They have announced that they are not killing the Dark World structure deck. We are getting structure deck Dark World in its entirety in English.
I've seen some of the reprints that are supposed to be in that. There's some interesting stuff in there. Token Collector's getting a reprint for all the good that'll do.
No, that's not relevant anymore. But no, it's really good because all the new Dark World shit is good. Dark World decks will be good again. Okay, let me see. So currently, wow. Goddamn Konami. This will be our last meta bit. This is the latest Road of the King stats for basically the end of last month. Tier 40%. Sprite still 20%. Bisted, that new dragon archetype that just came out, 4%. Exorcister still 2.9%. It's an anti-meta pick. Flunder's back to 2.9. A lot of other decks, which let me read some hybrids. Also, oh god, there's so many fucking Bisted variants. Hey, Axe, Thunder Dragon Bisted. Wait, no, I'm sorry. Thunder Dragon branded Bisted.
I mean, I would still be up for it. That sounds fun.
We've got 3 Virtual World, one of which, by the way, is pure Virtual World. Shout out to that fucking guy.
Yeah. Anyone who does pure Virtual World gets full props.
We've got 2 Eldritch, 2 Chaos Bisted Thunder Dragon.
Actually, I have a question about
jeez.
Bisted, or I guess branded. Could you run Branded Fusion and also Thunder Fusion?
Yes, they're both fusion cards. You can search them. I'm pretty sure. I don't know what they mean by Luna. Do they mean Luna Light? 1 Kaiju Luna, 1 Luna.
It's probably Grass Luna.
Yeah, it could be. 2 Naturia. Ishizu 1 Ishizu Naturia, 1 Venus Sylph Naturia. 2 Runic decks, one of which, by the way, pure Runic. 2 Sun Avalon Rika. God, what some chads. 1 Altergeist, 1 Blackwing, 1 Crystal Beast. Christ. 1 Grand Maju. 1 Grass Tearlaments Bisted Branded Despia. You can't always kill the pile. 1 Kistrala, 1 Kistrala Punk, 1 Kistrala Speedroid. Axel run that deck. 1 Magician Draco Slayer, 1 Mathmech Adagnister, 1 Marincess, 1 Megalith, 1 Sky Striker, 1
What was Speedroid?
Kistrala Speedroid, the rank 7 deck. And because they unbanned Spellbook of Judgment, 1 Spellbook Draco Slayer, Zephyra, Endymion.
Oh god, that sounds terrible.
But yeah, so as you can see, while Tier is obviously fucking stupid right now, because of it's mostly the Ishizu variants, by the way. Yes,
Yeah.
43 Ishizu tier elements. Also, a lot of these are grass tier element variants.
Tier elements and sprites suck. All of these other people are based.
Yeah, I was
Well,
gonna say
I
that
like them.
actually sounds like a fun meta once you get past the tier and the
Well, and I'll
sprite.
say this:
Just main deck dimension shifter for
tier has diverse options. A lot of it has to
Yeah.
do with grass, which we don't have access to over here. There are a lot of people who are just haha Ishizu tier elements.
Yeah,
brain
no,
dead.
I'm gonna ban
but-
those Ishizu cards when we get them.
But there are there's grass Eldritch
fucking
Ishizu
hate those
tier.
cards.
There's light sworn tier elements hybrids. There's some shit in there you can do. I
okay,
think.
light sworn tier element is based.
I mean,
I
it's still
can't even
grass
argue
light
that.
sworn tier, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's still light sword tier.
There are some funny tier hybrids you can do. The problem is
Oh,
that
that's
everybody
nice.
is just like, ooh, shiny new card, break them. But
Yeah.
as you can see, the meta has kind of shifted back down into a semi-diverse mix, but there's still a fuck ton of tier lists.
And
There's still a decent amount of sprite representative, yeah. But we'll have to see what Konami of the OCG does if they want to curb tier
they're
elements.
just gonna spoil it. They're gonna gut tier.
Will Darkwing Blast do something else, or will we just be like, okay, the Ishizu cards were a mistake, the tiers were a mistake, Winda's a mistake.
Really, I think the big thing is going to be Winda is going to get hit, and the Ishizu cards are going to get hit. I
And
don't
we're
think
gonna
they're actually going to hit any of the tier
we will
cards.
see in the TCG what combos people do exactly because you don't have access to grass.
I just want them to pre-hit Wind. I just want Konami to put a ban list out tomorrow and going, oh, by the way, we're hitting Winda and Toad. Bye.
I mean, that would really shake up the format.
Just everyone just looks at me like, what do
But
we
we've
do?
hit 3 hours on the stream. It is after midnight. I wanted to do some test games earlier, and I still want to do them. So we're going to get going now. Thank you for putting up for our rando Yu-Gi-Oh! Talk. We hit 3 hours. Thank you so much for showing up, everybody. Somebody shouted out their special membership thing. I'm probably immediately gonna, after this, while I've still got all these crimboed, I've got all these cats herded, I'm probably going to start bullying people for their fail portrayal poll suggestions. So I'll throw that up. Don't throw them out now. I'm trying to end the stream. Look forward to that if you're a patron. Support us at the 5 and up level if you're not a patron.
Shit.
And you can do some stuff. Thanks so much for tuning, everybody. Good night. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as well. It's really helpful. Also, go watch
Bye.
funny videos about black mages.
Also, ban Engage again.
That's
I
also
like-
probably
I-
a good idea.
I got
That was
lucky.